Alright, what is going on YouTube? Admiral Yi Sun-Shin versus Sunjata, first semifinals of Hidden Cup 4. I'll have to do it quickly because we kind of have to start going with the game. So, Islands, Quarry, Gold Rush for Admiral Yi over here with Cup Bend, Cross, High Tide Bay for Sunjata in as his home maps. And we're gonna have Admiral Yi with Vikings, Japanese, Khmer, Britons, Berbers, Malay, Koreans, Goths available. Sunjata will be playing with Mongols, Huns, Mayans, Franks, Persians, Spanish, Portuguese, Byzantines. So with that, I believe we can actually start with the first game. We are fairly... Oh, there was Quarry. I just listed the maps, but I completely forgot what the maps was. I would be really hyped to see at least one game on Quarry, because we haven't seen one. I think it's... When I actually did the map intro video, I said that Quarry is a fun map to play for me, but I think for the players it's not really fun for the big tournament. So we'll jump into the first game over here. Welcome to the semifinals. Admiral Yi is playing teal, but for better visibility, we will actually be using red over here. So Admiral Yi Sun-Shin is going to be playing with Vikings on the left side in red. Right side is going to be Sunjata in blue. We have a fairly good clue on who these players could possibly be. Currently, as things stand, Sunjata seems to be Mr. Yo. And on the other side, Jordan could be the possible player. I'm fairly certain it's Jordan, but that would definitely be a surprise if Jordan was actually playing a semifinals over here. With that being said, we will actually get going with the first game. Admiral Yi is going to have a stone mine at the back, but berries on the front, gold on the front, another gold on the front as well. And an absolutely awful board position. This is a bad board because it takes quite a lot of time for vultures to walk through here. There's a sneaky hole here that shouldn't really be hard to spot, but you never know. So this is not a good map for Admiral Yi by any means. Double forward golds. For an archer civ like Vikings, especially against Mayans, this is gonna be tough. Other side, Sunjata's map seems much better. Not a lot of good wood lines, but gold and berries are actually pretty cool. Stone is workable if you want to, so that seems just fine, I would say. So with that, we are going to have our blue player on the right side. We already have Admiral Yi coming in here with his own scout to do some research about the opponent's base. Now, Mayans versus Vikings is always an interesting civilization matchup, to be honest. Because one thing that you have to consider is that technically mid-game, the Mayans are supposed to have the advantage with a potential ego switch. Their archers will also be way better. However, Vikings can react to that one potentially with long swords, depending on the game situation. And in late game, Berserks. So post-Imperial, I think I like Berserk Siege Ram as a better option for Vikings. But mid-game, I would actually prefer Mayans over here. So the Eagle Warriors, potentially Plumed Archers, both of these could work really nicely over here for Sunjata. So we're gonna have some forward houses over here. Makes me wonder if Admiral Yi is going to go all the way around here. If he does, that's actually a fine walls. And I would think that he could make a barracks over here. And even though ranges don't really like to be over here, I feel like if you do range barracks, then you're actually going to be fine protecting that gold mine. That would be extremely important, I would say. So with that, we're gonna have 4 on wood for Admiral Yi, no surprise about that one, and 4 on wood as well for Sunjata. We'll have Deer Push coming in here from Sunjata to the TC, and we'll also have villagers coming in on the berries. They're actually a little bit late, to be honest, but it's not really a big deal. It's just a matter of timing, especially with Deer Push. For Sunjata here, they pushed in 1 deer, but not more than that. So, with that, it seems like Sunjata is just gonna go for the small walls, most likely going to place his walls over here. He will wall off the left side easily, and should have no trouble protecting this gold mine. It is worth noting that he actually has another patch of deer in this corner. There is random deer spawning on the map, but that's actually a very lucky spawn for the random deer, because this definitely could be a reasonable extra food source for him. It's really close to his TC. If you compare it to Admiral Yi's map, there's no other deer patches. Like, this is his standard deer patch. That's fine that it's close, but the other option would be over here, and that's way too ambitious to move out to. So this is actually a very, very nice deer patch spawn for our blue player. We're going to have what appears to be a Man-at-Arms play from Sunjata. Other side, we will probably need a Man-at-Arms play as well from our Vikings player, because this map isn't really suitable for just a straight archers play, I believe, with this exposed gold mine. It looks like Admiral is going for a late deer push over here, but this will be disrupted by Sunjata. So that's not going to be stub for now. With that, we are gonna have 2 on gold. Indeed, Barax is almost up. This will be seen by Sunjata. So he is going to be well aware of the fact that his opponent is going Man-at-Arms, and indeed here they come. And this means that he also cancels his Man-at-Arms plans, I believe. This wanted to be a Man-at-Arms play most likely, but he changes his mind upon seeing that his opponent is also going for Man-at-Arms. Makes sense, because at the end of the day, if you think about it, Viking Man-at-Arms are way better than the Men-at-Arms of Mayans, so this makes a lot more sense for Sunjata. The Barack's timing for Sunjata was a Man-at-Arms timing. This is how you know that he actually wanted to play Men-at-Arms, and not like that. Well, it's definitely going to be a Man-at-Arms play, but it was actually changed into a straight archer build now. So, with that, we already have 3 on gold for Sunjata. With Mayans, that might be suitable for even a double range archer play, and considering that Sunjata is very, very heavy on wood, makes me wonder if it's indeed range number 1, range number 2 immediately. We're going to have Man-at-Arms coming in right now, and that's a nice find for Admiral Yi, intercepting that eagle, and he's doing quite a bit of a damage over there. Nice woes from Sunjata, quick woes also happening very nicely, and this means that these Man-at-Arms aren't able to get in. How come Vikings are an archer civ? Because they have very, very bad cavalry, and infantry is not viable in this game currently. Like, they have good barracks units, but you never talk about infantry civs. Sicilians try to be an infantry civ, and they are actually a massive failure at the end of the day. Oh boy, though, this is huge! This is huge! The final tile of wall was missing, and the Men-at-Arms are in. Without that, this would have been a pretty much stalled out Man-at-Arms push, but that is an excellent scenario. No quick wall! No quick wall coming in here from Sunjata. He's falling apart at the beginning over here. Oh my goodness, the amount of idle time is gonna be crazy. And yeah, there is an archer here, but the scout is still alive, and the scout can just pick off the archer. One vulture goes down very, very easily, and you could even try to yoink that eagle warrior, which would be an excellent value for these Men-at-Arms. And it looks like it's gonna be a blacksmith archer range. Disaster strikes Sunjata at the early stage of this game right now, and since those Viking Men-at-Arms are very tanky, it's not like they really care about one archer shooting at them. They'll just keep chasing vultures and force idle time. So basically there is no thing like infantry civ currently. There is archer civs and there is cavalry civs. So anything that doesn't have good cavalry is sort of an archer civ, so to say, with the exception, well, even Sicilians, I believe. Because Sicilians are trying to be an infantry civ, but infantry is just not viable because archers will kill them, or onagers, scorpions will kill them. Another vulture could go down over here if you block this with the scout. The scout actually has a low HP, but the eagle actually gets picked off. Nice value over there. This is really, really good value for Admiral Yi. An excellent start from him. And we actually mentioned that at the beginning of the game that Sunjata actually is potentially Mr. Yo. And Admiral Yi seems to be Jordan. If this is indeed Jordan, that's an excellent start for him. There are some sloppy moves in Admiral Yi's gameplay. You are going to see that in the future. So, for example, running into a TC fire wasn't really ideal, but the start was absolutely dreamlike for him. He's already going to have the stronger eco with Vikings, but if you add the fact that he already killed one vulture, that's an excellent situation overall for Admiral Yi. Alright, so we're gonna have archers coming in here. What he needs to be careful about, I believe, is that he's only 1 range versus 2 range Mayan archers. So he could easily get overrun by archers should the opponent start moving towards him. It looks like we have Sunjata idling his ranges for quite a while. I think this might be intentional and he might be thinking about Castle Age, as we're gonna have the archers out for now by Sunjata. Other side, Admiral Yi is going to play one range only, but I feel like it's actually an ambitious move diving in here with the archers. Both players have fletching, but no archer armor, and they will just trade archers, but they will do so very, very well. Look at this. What is Sunjata doing? This wasn't a good fight for him. It's not like he actually wants to retreat in this situation, but I feel like Sunjata just stopped making archers, and it feels so awkward. He wanted to go towards castle, I think that was the plan, and beat his opponent into castle, potentially go for crossbows and punish him early castle, but that's not gonna happen, and he lost all his archers. Look at the amount of vultures queued up for Admiral Yi here. This is why I'm saying that this is... Many people said this could be Viper, and yesterday I actually said it could be Viper between Viper and Jordan. But I don't think Viper would have this many vultures queued up. You see that he's now cancelling these. So there is a bit of a sloppiness with the macro, and this is what makes me feel like that this is, as weird as it sounds, this is a budget Viper, and that really fits the description of Jordan currently. The games are still not live, these are recorded games. The only live set will be the Grand Finals. So, once again, it's double range archers by Admiral or Sunjata. Admiral Yi is going to continue with archers, but he needs to be careful. He needs to be prepared for a potential ego switch of his opponent. But I think it's still better to just keep going archers. He actually is camping this hill here, which makes some sense, although I think it would have been better to just stay inside his base with the ranges. And this is a very underrated thing to do. Reinforce your walls with houses, or even a second layer of palisade. Because if your opponent starts pushing you with crossbows, this can be a life-saving thing. I really like this double layer palisade. And I feel like that also shows that this player is actually cautious. He isn't taking risks. He wants to make sure that he's well protected. This is extra investment, and many expert players wouldn't do this. You see that he's at 80 pop space already with these houses. So this extra investment is something that's gonna hurt him a little bit in terms of resources available. But you also have to consider the extra safety that you get from this one. So this is actually a very, very nice wall. You could have made a case for adding a tile of stone wall instead here behind, because you have stone at the back, but you probably didn't want to waste your stone right now. With that, we have 8 archers versus 10 archers on the field. Numbers are looking pretty nice for Admiral Yi over here. Archers are out, and it's going to be a triple range archer play. Nadia, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to everybody arriving from your stream. We're casting the final day of Hidden Cup in the semifinals. We have Admiral Yi versus Sunjata coming in, a potential Yo versus Jordan matchup. We don't know for sure, but it seems possible. Castle Age will be pretty much identical for both players, but the crossbow numbers are actually better for Sunjata, and he's gonna be able to hold this hill, I believe. Sneaky crossbow move coming in here from Admiral Yi though, and if Sunjata doesn't react, this could be a disaster. This timing is a little bit too early, because you want to wait with your crossbows, and look at that reaction from Sunjata. Immediately runs away, and that's gonna be big. It looks like Admiral Yi actually wants to hit the gold mine, but I feel like he should have waited 5 more seconds until he gets crossbows in. Now he's actually going to take this fight, but it turns out to be a bad fight overall for him. Loses 2 crossbows for 1 archer, wasn't really ideal, and it looks like he actually stopped making archers as well. No second TC or university added currently. Second TC coming in here for Sunjata, already on stone. So since he's triple ranges, not adding any more barracks, it seems like he's going to continue with crossbows for now and go for plumed archers later. Whereas his opponent is going Elite Skirm. Elite Skirm will be fine, but Mayans have a nice and easy tech switch into Eagles. That's the real difficulty fighting against Mayans, that their tech switches are so clean. That being said, Vikings Eco can always be extremely devastating against any player, basically. So if Sunjata isn't pushing aggressively enough, I feel like he could get easily outboomed. It's going to be ballistics first for Admiral Yi, but after that he will probably just squeeze in another town center at least. And look at this. This is a nice move. He's splitting up his armies. This is a bit dangerous, but this is why I think it's a very underrated thing to double layer wall yourself. Because if you double layer wall yourself, these crossbows will have a little chance of breaking through here, and you can afford to split your armies like this and potentially hit the back of this wood line and this wood line at the same time. Admiral Yi knows very well that his opponent has 2 wood lines, and he's actually willing to go for both of those, waiting for the opportunity to strike as he's going Elite Skirm defense. Piece number 2 coming in here, which will probably limit his opponent's chances of breaking through here, although this is still the weak part of the wall. And this is also something that should be taken a look at, and we could potentially have an overchop as well, which would obviously be a disaster. Now Sunjata will reveal his army over here. The crossbows heading this way. Ballistics just now in for Admiral Yi, who is chasing this army down with the elite skirms. These are +2/+2 elite skirms, and look at the moves. At the same time, he was waiting for ballistics to come in. He's moving on the wood line over here. He actually tries to take a fight over here as well. He will actually take a decent one with the hill. And I think this is the real jackpot. And you can see that Sunjata isn't able to look everywhere because he's microing his army here. He had to micro his army over here. And now he's losing Voyagers on the right side. This is the moment when he realizes that he has been pushed. This was some insane coordination from Admiral Yi. Doing three things at the same time. And the elite scrims are just cleaning this one up very, very easily. This free front attack was crazy good. And I think that if this TC wasn't even here, Sunjata might not even have noticed this push on the wood lines. And look at this. At the end of the day, Sunjata is even Voyagers with his opponent, even though he had 3 TCs earlier. But he lost so many Voyagers, and his wood income isn't reliable. That's the main problem he's facing. His wood income here is messy. His wood income here is getting pressured. +2 defense and ballistics is in for Admiral Yi. By the way, Sunjata went for the greedy and eco-heavy approach, so he didn't go for ballistics, which means that it's much harder for him to micro this. He's up against +2 defense with only +1 and ballistics. This is extremely hard for Sunjata to micro, and you see that if he loses this crossbow micro over here, this wood line once again will be denied, and the elite skirms are already coming in to attack the other wood line. It looks like Sunjata actually wants to clean up these skirmishers with a mangonel. And now we'll have 3 TCs for Admiral Yi. And we'll have some Voyagers coming forward for what could be a siege workshop here and try to push that stone mine. It looks like Sunjata will actually think about plumed archers now with 5 on stone. But it's still going to take some time until those actually get on the field. So we'll have 3 TC play. Actually fairly solid Voyager production, but there is some idle time. But here's the danger of Mayans, as I said, the early tech switches. And I think that at this point Admiral Yi has to expect his opponent potentially switching into Eagles. Boso now coming in for Admiral Yi. He also has handcart, his opponent only has wheelbarrow. Crossbows actually idled this wood line and they're now heading this way. Another couple of Voyagers could be killed, to be honest here. Technically Admiral Yi sees the Voyagers, so he could definitely try and just pick off a couple more. There's the siege workshop. And he stubs the barracks. He stubs the barracks even. That's even bigger. Mangonel is out to try and finish off this force, but he actually delays the barracks, which is extremely important here. The ability to see that your opponent is switching into egos is enormous, and you also have to consider that, once again, you delayed this push as much as possible. Now the question is, what do Vikings do here? Because the real problem of Vikings is this time. They can go long swords, but considering that your opponent has triple ranges, they can just go eagle crossbow, and you're gonna have a tough time. I think the ideal solution would be berserks, but that's what takes so much time for Admiral Yi to go for. I like this move here though. The crossbows are chilling here, they're waiting for these crossbows to move to the left side, and they will come back on this wood line once again. It's a 10 Voyagers lead now for Admiral Yi and handcart advantage. I feel like if he actually weathers this storm of eagles, he's going to be good to go. He's actually on stone, but he needs to be careful about overchops like this, because this is how you lose a game against eagles, and I'm starting to feel like this is going to be the hardest part of the game so far for Admiral Yi. He has been leading against his opponent by a quite massive margin, and since there is no +2 defense for Sunjata, he still has some time to hold with crossbows, and he will attack into long swords, which makes some sense for him, to be honest. The thing is that if you are Wood, and look at this once again, he comes back to the wood line. He knew exactly that the crossbows came here. He was waiting for the crossbows here. And when the crossbows came in here to the left, he moved in with the crossbows on the right. 16 Voyagers lead, adding TC number 4. And the thing is that if you play longswords or eagles, what you have to make sure is that your base is actually fully walled. Because your mobility will be way worse than the opponent's mobility. But if you're actually secured, like I could even see stone walls being dropped over here and here, then your opponent isn't going to use his mobility advantage. There's still a decent amount of crossbows here, which is forcing Sunjata to focus over here. Drops a defensive castle. Mangonel firing up hills will actually be unsuccessful killing this Mangonel. And it looks like this could be breached once again. And crossbows could once again find a couple of Voyager picks. The thing is that at this point, Sunjata has his chance. And you see that the eagles are now slowly coming in, and that's something that Admiral Yi has to be careful about. But There is already a 20 Voyagers lead for Admiral Yi, and even though the Mayan army is definitely cheap, I feel like it's not as cheap to compensate for this big of a deficit. Nice reaction of there once again from Admiral Yi. And he's got the hill. Here come the Eagles. You will probably need a good ground attack with the Mangonels to be able to finish this one off. Takes the shot down hills against the Mangonel, a little bit late with the ground attack. And he's going to end up getting his army cleaned up over here. He definitely is facing a lot of Eagles now, and the versatility is on the side of Mayans at this point. 4 on Stone Field for Admiral Yi, but there isn't really a lot of Eagles here, and more importantly, the Eagles are missing the +2 attack upgrade, so this actually is apparently working for Admiral Yi a little bit. He needs to take like a tight corner or so, and just take down as many Eagles as he can, because the more he delays the game, the closer he's getting. Oh my goodness. Like, this is why I'm saying that this is not Viper. Many people said this is Viper, but I mean, that was a disaster. He just ran into the castle with like 5 men-at-arms and 10 crossbows. By the time he realized it was too late. That being said, it's still just 7 army for Sunjata, and he's getting Eagles out now, getting Plumed Archers, but yeah, the Plumed Archer could be a way to turn this one back, but once again, look at this. Just one skirmisher being so annoying, denying Woodlines. It's a 30 Vultures lead now, very, very confident for Admiral Yi, and he's getting close to Imp. How is he going to stop Plumed Archers? The thing is that Plumed Archers are technically going to be beating crossbows, but there's a thing to add to this. Plumed Archers need to beat crossbows with good numbers, and the thing is that at this point the numbers aren't really there for Sunjata. Eagle Plumed Archer is going to be insanely hard to fight against though. Berserk Siege Ram will be great, and it looks like indeed we're gonna have a stone wall. This is late. This is late for Admiral Yi. He's doing the right thing, but the timing is wrong on this. This should have been a stone wall earlier, because if he does this, he's gonna get a castle up now. Then indeed the Eagles can't run in. This is the play to do, and many people wouldn't have done this. But it's a little late, and I did mention that you have to make sure that you have the mobility factor ruled out, because Vikings is much slower than Mayans. This defensive castle is nice, and the crossbows will now intercept this army. Imperial Age coming in for both players, as we apparently have a champion, or well, it's longswords right now, but it might turn into champion for Admiral Yi. He's gonna need berserks. Nice moves over there, picking up the Eagles first. Eagles tanking up a lot of arrow fire, but at the end of the day, as I said, Plumed Archers need to use their numbers, and that Monk is just running back home to the monastery with the relic. It looks like it's gonna be a full longsword play. This is the moment when you send out your Voyagers to make the stonewall though. You have to stonewall it off. If you stonewall it off, you're actually in a very, very good position. You have to do the same thing in some way on the right side, because you will be torn apart by Eagles if you just play longswords. You will need a second castle, and more importantly, berserks. It seems like Sunjata will now switch into almost full Eagles. There will be 1 castle worth of plumes, but I feel like if you just go for berserks, you should be fine. Berserks also have the mobility that's comparable to the Eagles, which is fine in this situation. So at this point, Eco is going heavily in the favor of Admiral Yi, but he needs to be careful, because his unit composition currently isn't able to beat the Mayan player over here, and I don't know why he's not making berserks, but berserks is the unit to go in Imperial for Vikings. You won't have the mobility with the longswords, that's the problem. So even though, yeah, those are longswords and soon to be potentially 200 swordsmen, you need mobility as well to catch up with the Eagles. It appears we're gonna have a castle here by Sunjata protecting this position. Castle, that's an ambitious castle over there from Admiral Yi, and his opponent sees it, so the Eagles will be sent here to try and destroy that force. It looks like these stone walls are still not up. I feel like these should have gone up earlier, and there is a need for a defensive castle here as well for Admiral Yi on the right side. Where are the berserks? Okay, there they are, and trebs are coming in first from that castle. And there should be trebs coming in as well from this castle immediately. If you trap down the castles of Sunjata, you are good to go. Berserks, like, the thing is that Arbalasts won't really be a thing here for the Mayan player. It has to be Plumed Archer and Eagle. But in order to be able to do that, you need the castles. So if you trap down the castles as the Vikings player and go berserks, that's gonna be really tough for Sunjata to work with. Now that being said, as I said, the mobility is something that Admiral Yi is having more and more trouble with, and he's starting to lose massive amounts of Voyagers, and he needs to be careful about that. There is just a need for berserks. because, like, honestly, I should just say this is a need for speed. Because he's slow, his army is slow, and he did the right thing on the left side, but he needs a lot more berserks right now with squires. If he's got like 20 berserks on the field, he's gonna have no trouble defending against the eagles, but the fact that this is open on the right side is a massive, massive issue, and you need to take this castle down. If you are successful doing that, then you're gonna be fine, but I really dislike the longsword play here. I understand that you need production, but you need mobility as well. And I feel like this is exactly what we will call a throw very soon. Because there was a massive lead for Admiral Yi, but he's slowly letting this slip out of his grasp. It's very hard. Mayans, one of the reasons why Mayans are actually a very, very good Arabia civ is because the thing is that their tech switches are so clean, and the versatility is definitely on the side of Mayans. And as I said, this is the time of the game where Mayans are starting to shine. The Eagle plus Plumed Archer time until your opponent doesn't have Berserk Siege Ram. Now it is still even Voyager count, but the castle on the front is slowly going down. I think for Admiral Yi, it's actually worth it to go for a 1-for-1 castle trade though. He's diving in with the champions though, trying to save his own castle, but he runs out of stone and the castle goes down. His best shot right now is being able to deal with the castle himself, but he's gonna fire it. What is he doing? The Trebs are firing at the forest, he loses one Treb, and if this castle doesn't go down, that could be a very big disaster for Admiral Yi. Sunjata is also slowly running out of stone. Arbalest are still holding the hill. There is some mangonels as well helping out. Sunjata buying some stone for the repairs. Voyagers for now trying to keep the Trebs alive. By the way, Sunjata has a significant overboom with Mayans. 140 with Mayans is a crazy Voyager count. And still forced to buy some stone to repair. He has about 9 Voyagers repairing against 2 Trebs firing down hills. This castle isn't staying up. You need like 20 Voyagers to repair against 2 Trebs down hills. That is actually a decent value for Admiral Yi. Because the thing is that if it's only Eagle Warriors and Arbalest, he's fine with the Berserks. There is Eldorado Eagles though, and this is the moment where you will need the Berserks. Champions are fine, but Eagles will just eat you alive with their speed. And especially if this is Mr. Yo. Mr. Yo is amazing when it comes to raiding with Eagles. The thing is that the numbers aren't on the field though. There is 0 Eagles out. 0 Eagles. And the thing is that at this point, Sunjata had 30 on gold. He's got very, very nice position on the left side and right side. If I would criticize something from Admiral Yi is that he actually stopped raiding the left side, but now he's moving in, he's bringing in Onager, and this raid is actually pretty good. It won't do much, but it causes idle time and annoyance. Still, there needs to be Berserks at some point. I don't like the fact that both of these castles are idle. Champions are nice as a unit, but you need something that's a little faster. It's only actually 2 castles now for Sunjata, so he's still actually able to go for a decent amount of Plumed Archers. But Arbalest Champion might be able to win this one based on numbers, because one of the things that you have trouble with when it comes to Plumed Archers is production. It's much easier for Admiral Yi to spam Arbalests from like 10 ranges and support that with 10 Barracks Swordsmen than it is to get Plumed Archers on the field. That's the main problem. These Plumes, especially against the Onagers, and the Onager is getting a decent shot in Eagles. Now these are Eldorado Eagles though. Eldorado Eagles are extremely scary with 100 HP. They actually dive in to snipe the Onagers. Nice fight over there for Sunjata. Another Onager comes in here, Champion on the way as well. And the Champion have to tank up the arrow fire here. Still the castle is slowly going down, and once again the Eagle numbers aren't really there. I feel like Sunjata has to push fast with this unit composition, as the Eagles will dive in to snipe the Trebs. Nice move over there, that's a very, very nice unit control once again. Onager will be kept alive though, and one Treb is still alive. Look at this flood of units from Admiral Yi. And the thing is that if this castle goes down, the left side of Sunjata's base is going to be wide open for raiding. With this much food and 165 population, you could actually make a case for the light cav of Vikings. Viking light cav is actually pretty bad, but it would allow you to raid, and it would allow you to have something that's a fairly cost-efficient meat shield in front of your army, and it looks like the castle is not being repaired. That's a mistake from Sunjata. There's only one Trab out there. He's just now sending in Voyagers to repair, but that might be too late. Onagers firing, and they will take down the Voyagers. And it seems like there is no way back for Sunjata. He needs every ego that he can have to fight this one. He really wants to fight back and raid, but he needs every ego he has. And look at that, that's just one champion camping down the gold mine. It's so annoying in this situation. And Sunjata might actually keep that castle alive, but it's gonna be awfully hard. One ego... Oh, that's actually sloppy because the champion weren't attacking the eagle, so the trap goes down. There's no more traps coming in here for Admiral Yi, but still he's killing villagers on the left side, and you see that there is stables already being built on the north, and just a couple of light cav into this corner would actually be devastating. Here, where are my berserks though? Or where are my siege rams even? Berserk siege ram would just stomp everything here. I mean, champion is easier to mass, that's for sure. But now it's more siege workshops. I think we are now going to see more onagers on the field. There is, by the way, 2 relics for Sunjata, free for Yi as well. So Yi has an advantage in that aspect as well. And one more thing. Mayan trash units aren't really amazing. There's the first counter ego raid. That's the scary part, because especially Eldorado Eagles, they're really hard to kill. He's actually getting Huiche Javelineers, the new unique tech of Mayans, which replaced Obsidian Arrows. Huiche Javelineers actually makes very good skirmishers. One of the best skirmishers in the game will be the ones with the Javelineers tech. The problem is that they will die to onagers, and they will die to champions as well. So here come the Eagles, and finally some Berserks for Admiral Yi. That should have been a thing long ago. He doesn't need a lot, he needs like 20. And that should be enough to clean up these Eagles. They have the mobility, and Berserks eat Eagles, even Eldorado Eagles. Capdram right now coming in for our blue player. He's still repairing this castle over here, but the castle goes up for Admiral Yi here. And that means that the plumed archers will probably be in a bit of a trouble here. Trebs still firing downhills against that castle. More and more skirmishers arrive. Once again, just full berserk with onagers is something that the Mayans have no answer to. Mayans literally have no answer. They don't have redemption to convert onagers. They can go eagles, that's their best bet against onagers. But if it's full berserk onager, there's nothing that you can do. And look at that, even fortified wall coming in here for Admiral Yi. He wants to make sure that this part of his base is safe, and I think the same thing could be done on the right side. If you actually stonewall this, that's already a reasonable value. Sunjata actually stops repairing that castle. There is a need for a second trap here, which is just now coming in. And it looks like Sunjata wants to go for a counterattack with siege rams and plumed archers. Onagers will have to be dispatched to deal with that one. This castle fight is once again going to be extremely important, and if you're Admiral Yi, you don't want to lose your trap to some rams. Still, I feel like the push stalled out a little bit for Admiral Yi here, and you still have to be careful with that many plumed archers potentially running past you. But the ego numbers are actually slowly going down, and that means that elite skirms could definitely be a thing to consider for Admiral Yi. Nice house walls over here. Plumed archers will never get through walls, and I wonder if Admiral Yi knows about that siege workshop. The answer is no, and that could come as an unpleasant surprise. Now it's free traps though firing down hills, and Sunjata is running out of stone. And this castle is more important for Sunjata than this one is for Admiral Yi, because Admiral Yi is fine with the other free castles that he has at home, whereas for Sunjata he really needs good plumed archer production. Both players are running short on gold though, so it looks like we have a very long and grind game. Hoardings coming in, that's a good technology for Admiral Yi here. There's already a lot of HP upgrades as well in for our blue player. And now it looks like stone is running out for Sunjata. He has to buy 200 stone. He's also going for fortified wall himself, walling off the north. Champion raid coming in on the north as well. Plumed archers are coming back, but it looks like it's just going to be one big push from the Eagles trying to snipe the traps as a final desperate effort. And they might be able to. The champions were a little bit mispositioned. One trap goes down, but Sunjata is running out of stone. This second trap does go down as well, but as I said, his opponent is out of stone. Sunjata needs to buy stone to repair. This is so close. It's only one trap, and now siege rams are coming in. Don't tell me Sunjata is saving this castle. Sunjata seems like he's actually saving this castle, and that ego push was so clutch. At least, like as I said, if you are Admiral Yi, you at least want to trade off your castles to the opponent's castle here. Siege rams now coming in, and I feel like, once again, where are my berserks and onagers? I don't like the champion play here. I never liked it. Berserks and Onagers is something that Mayans can't respond to. The problem with the champions was that they were just a little too slow killing the Eagles, because they're slower moving. That's it. And now, guess what? Sunjata feels the blood in the water. This is a nice raid coming in from the champions, but now I feel like Sunjata is actually taking over in this game, because the Huichi Javelineers on those elite skirms are actually a pretty devastating thing to fight against. They actually throw double arrows, which means that their damage output is much greater, and there is still a lot of Plumed Archers on the field. Needless to say is the fact that if one Onager hit connects here, that changes the outcome of the entire game. Right now, Admiral Yi could definitely afford to go for a couple of light cav, as he is killing quite a lot of villagers from Sunjata. Sunjata is down to 105 villagers, but on the left side, siege rams are knocking on the walls, and the champions will actually be cleaning those up right now. Javelineers will be sent to deal with the champions. Eagles are already being assembled to push this side. Look at the middle though. Onagers are still alive, and oh my goodness, this first game is crazy. Siege Ram just now coming in for Admiral Yi as well, and it appears that by the time this is getting cleaned up, Sunjata lost a lot of villagers. Sunjata, however, reclaiming a gold mine for himself. This left side push apparently stalls out for a moment, but there will be more siege rams being sent here. I think that if you're Admiral Yi, you have to focus down this one, because this is going to be really scary if Eagles start getting into your eco. Defensive castle coming in, that's a nice castle position. And now he's gonna start pushing with siege ram. Elite skirm siege ram and a couple of champions could work out quite nicely. This castle is still in flames. Both players behind fortified walls on Arabia. Not something that you frequently see. In fact, one onager here would have been fine for Admiral Yi. If he's got two onagers here, he can take down the ramps from behind the walls. But he's more like focusing in the fight in the middle. Once again tries to contest that castle. That castle is still 800 HP. You need 2 trap shots for that. And Sunjata doesn't have the ego numbers to stop these skirmishers. And the rams now, he just doesn't have the numbers. And the rams actually need to start taking down the trebs and start taking down the siege workshop. This castle does go down. And once again, Admiral Yi is taking over in this one. The push on the left side starts to materialize, and you still have to be careful about the ego raids. But the longer this game goes, the less of a chance for an ego raid is. And keep in mind that there is 3 relics for Admiral Yi, only 2 for his opponent. So that also is massively benefiting Admiral Yi. He should start selling food. Get free berserks out here, and the berserks will be able to deal with the ram and the skirmishers as well. He is taking this fight with the skirmishers. This is a bad fight, by the way, for Sunjata. He's losing all his Plumed Archers, and the siege ram is also tanking a lot of arrow fire. The thing is that the skirmishers are better for Mayans. However, if you lose your Plumed Archers and you just go full skirmisher, your opponent is just gonna go for champion and deal with you. And almost 200 pop versus 160, and that's a steady 160 population. This is getting cleaned up as well. It will be revolved, and I feel like now Admiral Yi is slowly starting to take over, and I think that he could really start adding a bit of a light cap for himself as well, because there's more and more skirmishers on the field from the opponent. That being said, there is apparently a lot of egos once again coming out for Sunjata, who is officially out of mineable gold. He's working with 2 relics and a market, basically. His opponent is 3 relics and a market. So I think if you are Admiral Yi right now, you're trying to focus down the Plumed Archers with your skirms. Kill as many plumes as you can, and just go for the champions then to finish off the opponent's skirmishers. More rams are coming in. I think the only thing that Admiral Yi is missing is raiding. If he starts mixing in some light cav, suddenly this is going to start becoming way better for him. He takes the hill, by the way, but he's still against these Javelineers. And look at that, populations evening out once again. This is indeed a sick first game, and this is an extremely important first game, by the way. Because I always say that if you win Arabia, all you have to do is just win your home maps and you're guaranteed to win the series. So Arabia oftentimes is the most important game of this series because of this. Plumed Archers once again will try pushing the left side, but they will just pick off a couple of champions and berserks here. More ranges coming in for Admiral Yi. I think Admiral Yi needs to add 20 more villagers to food here with those wood villagers, and start adding light cav. This is also, I think, a bit of a clue that Admiral Yi is not necessarily a very, very experienced post-in player. If this was Hera or so, he would be spamming light cap for 20 minutes now. And he's not doing that right now. And the thing is that right now, Sunjata is the player that has no mobility. It's a slow army of skirmishers and plumed archers. Plumed archers obviously a little bit faster. And so we'll have another push attempt coming in here. But at the end of the day, if you had some light cav over here, you should be good to go. Skirmishers, once again, just focus down the plumed archers as much as possible. But I think that what we are really needing for Admiral Yi is light cav or two onagers. Two onagers could also do a lot, but he needs to start selling his wood, I believe, to start becoming efficient. Because the thing is that if he's not getting any light cav on the field, he's going to lose this. The Mayan skirmishers are way better than the skirmishers of the Vikings. That being said, there is 23 plumes in here. If you are Admiral Yi right now, you focus down those plumes. You dive in, snipe them, and then use your champions to clean up the opponent's skirmishers. That's exactly what you do. Very nice unit control, by the way, from Sunjata in that regard. Keeping those plumed archers alive. And as I said, this is the moment where you just focus down the plumes as much as possible over here. Rams versus Rams over here, and 84 versus 54. And it looks like, once again, Admiral Yi is taking over, but this is just a temporary advantage because his opponent can spam skirmishers all day, all night as well. By the way, soon, wood starts to be an issue for both players as they will have to move to contested grounds of the map. Still no light cav from either player. Funnily enough, there was a stable here at some time, but imagine if Admiral Yi had 20 light cav here. Obviously, plumed archers kill light cav fairly easily, but the thing is that Sunjata can't really afford egos anymore because he is out of gold. But his opponent could afford a unit that deals with skirmishers, and it would be an excellent meat shield unit. Like, yeah, indeed, either 20 light cav running past here and just hitting the food eco here, or just 20 light cav actually jumping on the skirmishers. All of these skirms will die to 20 light cav, and Viking light cav isn't amazing, but it's a good unit still, especially in these situations like this. One thing that Hera has taught us, I think, is that there is no thing like a bad light cav in post-Imperial. I like this move a lot. Sunjata is actually diving in and takes down the monastery, which is the only gold source for Sunjata. And now we're gonna have, as I said, contested ground wood chopping here as well. Map control is still better for our red player, but once again, I think he's just not taking as good fights as he can. You see that Sunjata is able to hold out against this one with the double javelins, even against the hill. But now, where are the plumed archers at? Like, if these plumed archers die, this is game over for Admiral or for Sunjata, because the champions will finish off everything else. Still 87 army against 78. I just don't know why Admiral Yi is not making just a couple of light cav. It would be so easy. He could add 10 more farms, a couple of light cav, and all of these guys would start dying. Can you escort a monk in a ram? I don't think so. Also, the other thing is that you have to focus down those plumed archers by now. Because if you want to just play flood the champions, then it's fine, but you have to kill the plumed archers. These champions, by the way, could just run on these skirms right now, but they're not doing so. So you see that the post-imp unit control isn't necessarily amazing for Admiral Yi over here, but that might still be enough, because slow and steady, he's grinding down his opponent over here. On the right side, he's raiding as well. Villager count is still very close, but now finally the champion arrive on the skirmishers, and you see that whenever possible, Sunjata is mixing in some egos to try and kill the opponent's skirmishers. That is exactly what Admiral Yi should be doing, just with light cav. Because he just needs something that is cheap, doesn't cost gold, and tanks a lot of arrow fire and able to kill skirmishers. And that is, guess what? This is the light cav unit. And Viking light cav, you see, they don't have bloodlines. I don't think they have Hussar either. So it's not a good light cav, but it's still something. And I don't think that I like the play of Admiral Yi just trying to match his opponent's skirmisher numbers. Especially as long as those plumed archers are alive. if the Plumed Archers were that champion, Skirm beats pure Skirm, but these Plumed Archers are being kept alive so well. 10 minutes ago, there were 21 of them, right now it's 20. It's an amazing unit control over there from Sunjata, and he still has an awful lot of units on the field. That being said, Sunjata is running out of wood at the back of his base. Also, imagine if there was, like, he's floating so much wood, he could add 10 more farmers and just go for 10 light cav. If he had 10 light cav here, he would be killing 20 villagers very, very easily. And I think this is what makes Hera and MBL off one of the best post-Imperial players, but even Mr. Yo. But really the two players that do this the most are Hera and MBL. Just mixing in light cav no matter what in post-Imp, and just keep raiding. And you see that Admiral Yi is not doing that. And I feel like he's just gonna lose all his army at this rate, because these skirmishers are still way better, and now he's not fighting down hills anymore. You can do two things here: sacrifice your skirmishers and kill the Plumed Archers, or just do something. Man, I'm starting to get tilted. He actually sent in 2 skirmishers, and he sees that he has so much eco over here. Basically, what he's doing is trying to spam the same unit, but he's got worse of it. It's like, I don't know, sending in spearmen against pikemen. You will never win because your units are worse than the opponent's units. He tried to yoink the relic, but that didn't actually occur. Where are my light calves? I mean, I feel like as good as Admiral Yi has been playing in this game, I don't think he deserves this right now, because he isn't able to finish off his opponent right now, and this is very tilting to cast. Like, I know there's a lot of things to focus on, but come on, man. If you want to play champion skirm, just send these 20 skirms in here and pick off the plumes. That's all you have to do. Finally, was that a skateboarding tech? I missed out on that for a moment. But you either pick off the plumed archers and send in champions to deal with the skirmishers, or you make light cav. But it's an endless flood of skirmishers, and you will never win this fight. As I said, finally, even 2 champions for raiding is something, but come on. 20 light cav would decide the game here immediately. It's not about Sunjata losing this game, it's about Admiral Yi not winning this. Finally, man. Finally. I think this also tells us, if anyone had any doubts, and maybe if anyone was guessing that, hey, this could be Herald or so, no. I think this late light cav tells us that this is definitely not a player like Hera. And I think this also, for me, confirms it's Jordan. Because I think that Viper would have done raiding a lot earlier than... So I think a player like Hera would have finished off this game 20 minutes ago. Because he just starts sending in light cav, and 5 light cav here, 5 light cav here, and your opponent is down 20 villagers. Or you just send in 20 light cav here, and your opponent is down by 20 skirmishers. And it's an insane job from Sunjata, by the way, how he's able to keep those plumes alive. And finally, I feel like Admiral Yi starts to realize what's going on. And he tried to focus down the plumed archers of his opponent. There is, by the way, apparently an ego raiding here. Admiral Yi is also having some issues controlling wood now on the map. But I think once Chainbarring comes in, he should be good to go. The question is if it's gonna be too late or not. Because the thing is that, as I said, he's running out of wood himself. And he isn't controlling the left side of the map. He can still chop wood over here and here. But maybe he has waited too long. And you should never underestimate this fact. If he waits too long, his opponent has way more wood to work with. And you see that he's only sitting on 300 wood. Maybe we're going to see a gigantic throw from Admiral Yi here, in the form of being too late to the light cav. Because that is also something to consider. And you see that Sunjata isn't able to afford a lot of egos, but even just a couple of egos can help so much, either in raiding or potentially picking off the skirmishers or rams. In this one, it looks like the relics are gone, and they are once again in the hands of Sunjata. Light cav finally coming in here, but really, the map is actually getting stripped from all accessible wood. And I feel like Admiral Yi has waited too long. He can still win this game very, very easily, I would say. But I'm starting to feel like he's getting on the back foot. He will need light cav to start pushing this one, or to start raiding. Yeah, even just 2 light calf can start becoming a factor, although you will need more. You have 1,000 food, man. Don't tell me that you can't make light calf. Just keep spamming them, and you're good to go. I feel like Admiral Yi is having a serious trouble closing this game out here. And as I said, I feel like Sunjata deserves this game more now. Because he was definitely having a tough time in early to mid game. But after that, he is just massively outplaying Admiral Yi. Right now, Admiral Yi is 3 out of 10 gameplay, whereas Sunjata is like 9 out of 10. Sunjata converting a stable, not possible because he's Mayans and he doesn't have redemption. Mayans is the only Meso Civ without redemption. That being said, look at this. So much wood still accessible for Sunjata. Admiral Yi still has his chance, but I feel like the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm seeing Sunjata grinding this one out, and as I said, I think he would deserve this win here. Because Admiral Yi misplayed this final 20 minutes really badly. No light cav, not focusing down the plumed archers. He thinks that if he just spams skirmishers to the opponent's skirmishers, it's fine. I really wonder, by the way, if Admiral Yi knows about the new unique tech for Mayans. So, because if he knew about this one, it's hard to spot this one, that the opponent is throwing 2 javelins with 1 skirmisher. But if you knew about this, he should know that his skirmishers will never be as good as the opponent's skirms. And this is what should have happened 20 minutes ago. Use your mobility, man. And there is a couple of plumed archers, but if the plumed archers aren't on the field, then the champions will start becoming a factor. And you see, it's Pikeman. Pikeman won't do much against champions, Pikeman won't do much against the skirmishers, but you have to make Pikeman because Mayans don't have good thresh units. And this is exactly what should have happened 20 minutes ago. Just keep sending those light calves, grind down the opponent's eco as much as possible, and you can also send in your rams, start knocking down buildings. Buildings will actually start becoming an important factor in a post-imperial scenario, like in a very, very late post-im scenario like this, because they will actually be expensive. Same thing as sniping a monk, because monks are expensive in terms of gold cost, and if you actually happen to kill the opponent's monastery, then he's gonna have to build a new monk as well. And guess what? Once the light cav are out, suddenly there is pikemen on the field. But the pikemen will be pretty bad against the skirmishers, so that's gonna be pretty much a cleanup. And you see that skirmisher light cav on the left side suddenly starts turning the tides. And by the way, Admiral Yi has been sitting on 3 relics. At the end of the game, I'm going to show the relic stats, so you will see how much more gold he actually received in this game. And I think that's still a little bit disappointing that with all the extra gold that he has gotten from the extra relic, he's still struggling a little bit cleaning this one, or finishing this game off. He's definitely not a super experienced post-team player here. Also, he needs to add 10 more villagers on food. He's got crop rotation as well, so his farms will last long. He needs to add 10 more on food. At this stage of the game, you need like 60-70 farmers. If you just check out how Hera plays a situation like this, he has like 60-70 farmers and just keeps sending in light cav to the opponent, because fights like this will never win you the game. They will stall a game out. What win you the game in post-imperial is raids. Just keep sending in wave after wave of light cav, and eventually your opponent's eco is going to collapse, and you will have the mobility advantage. Like, the only thing that Sunjata can do to clean those up is send the plumed archers, but he doesn't have a lot of them. He's got 15 plumed archers on the field. But it's an endless fight of skirmishers. This is so tilting, by the way. It's unimaginable how tilting this is for me. Finally, champions are out, and even champions now could actually start becoming a thing. This is why I need light cav, because you need something to clean up the light cav with, and that's the plumed archers. You could make a case for pikemen, but pikemen can't catch up with the light cav, so you need the plumed archers because of the mobility. But once you have the plumed archers on the left side, you can start sending in champions, and the champions will actually start racking the skirmishers. Still, I think that Admiral Yi has to finish this game in the next 10 minutes. Why? Because he's running out of wood. And honestly, Admiral Yi really doesn't deserve this game. He isn't trying to win. It kind of feels like it. He's low on food. He tried mixing a couple of light cav, but it was a kind of subpar effort. We never saw 20 light cav running in here. Do you know what would happen if 20 light cav run in here? It actually kills all the villagers, or 20 light cav running in here. all the farming eco would be gone, and suddenly Sun-Jata isn't able to replenish his skirmishers. But now, as he waited too long. He waited too long even with the early light cav, and his opponent has a lot more wood. It's a war of attrition now. Yeah, that's true. Cut him some slack. He's an admiral. He isn't forced to play land. But I feel like after this game, I feel like what I would say to Admiral is that he should have stayed on water, Admiral, because land isn't your place, apparently. Is that 70 skirms in the queue? I believe so, yes. That's the game plan for Admiral Yi. He's got 70 skirms in the queue. He feels like, okay, we're just gonna keep spamming skirms. But, as I said, Sun-Jata is happy spamming skirms, because his skirms are better, and he's got more wood to work with. And he also is at least mixing a couple of eagles, using them as a meat shield. By the way, if you would cancel half of those skirmishers that are queued up, you would free up about 1,000 food. 1,000 food converts into about 15-ish light cav. 15-ish light cav running in here would actually cause a lot of chaos. And see, the plume archers are still around. I did mention 30 minutes ago that you probably want to focus down those plumes, because those will be extremely frustrating to fight against. As Admiral Yi is really starving for wood now. He's really starving for wood. He's got 3 relics, but his opponent will just outlast him at this pace, because there is a lot more wood on the left side, and this is turning into a deathmatch game, to be honest. And if this is really Mr. Yo versus Jordan, then Mr. Yo has more deathmatch experience. And you need deathmatch experience to start being able to play this one. This is not even post-Imperial anymore, because post-Imperial is usually like 20 minutes, 30 minutes after Imp. This is something different. This starts to become resource control game, starts to become... And you see how much these... Just a couple of egos do. Obviously, these egos in quality are way better than the light cav, but you see the concept of mixing in a fast unit that is capable of dealing with skirmishers, and like you also could start thinking about deleting some stuff or sending them forward. So there's like a random berserk. There's a lot to focus on, obviously, but you need population. Population is an extremely important resource now. I like this two-pronged attack, to be honest. Plumed archers will have to move to the left side. Champions once again on the field. And where is my light cav? Like, one light cav slowly coming out. The thing is that Viking light cav don't have this +4 defense, so trickling in light cav one by one isn't going to work out well, because they will just die to the plume dart or the skirmishers, especially skirmishers that have the javelin ears. But this is your moment, Admiral. Just take down those plumes. Very nice unit control once again from Sun-Jata, saving those, but this is all you want. Take down the plumed archers. Because if the plumed archers die, then even the champions will actually start becoming a reasonable unit here. Still, the army numbers are way better for Admiral Yi, both players at 200 population basically. Once again, focus on the plumes, and finally Admiral Yi starts doing the right things. I don't know, maybe he was sleeping for 20 minutes in this game, but finally his decision making starts to come back. Now all he needs to do is just... I don't think that you should be trickling in light cav like this. Wait until you have 20. You probably don't want to start deleting villagers, but at some point you have to think about that as well. When the map starts running out of resources, you actually have to start deleting stuff. Because villagers will no longer be useful. Pikemen. Why? Why pikemen here? Pikemen makes absolutely zero bonkers sense here. You're up against skirms, and there will be halberdiers of your opponent. The halberdier is still better. Like, the Mayan halberdier with full upgrades is better than the pikemen of Vikings. And I think this is the fight. This is exactly the fight here. You actually send a couple of skirms to actually start denying the wood. This is the fight for the wood line. And one thing that I would like to give to Admiral Yi, as much as I was bashing him for kind of misplaying this one in many ways, he was using the hills to his advantage very, very well, and his opponent Sun-Jata wasn't really doing that. So it was always Admiral Yi with the hill, and that helped quite a bit. So now exactly what you want to do is just keep killing these villagers. It's about limiting your opponent's resource income as much as possible. Remember, it's 3 relics versus 2. This is the fight for the game, and I feel like those plumed archers are what keeping Sun-Jata alive for 20 minutes. And really, just deny the wood. The thing, however, is that if you take a look at Sunjata, he's still floating 2k wood in the bank and 1k food, but he doesn't have 40 skirms queued up, so this is still relatively even, but it's all about getting every bit of wood that you can over here. If you're Sunjata, you start deleting villagers, because now villagers won't matter. There is no resources on the map. There is just no resources that you can actually get, other than this wood line, and like Sunjata is trying to get there, but it seems impossible. And as I said, I think that this is enough for Admiral Yi to hold out. He manages to outlast his opponent, it seems. But like at the end of the day, do you know why Admiral Yi could be winning this game? It's because of the relics. Because the thing is that at some point both players will run out of resources completely. I have seen only one game in my life where both players ran off every bit of resource on a map. It was, I think, Deathmatch World Cup 2. And basically what starts to happen then is that you will be extremely reliant on your relics. And the other thing that you will try to do is like dive in with potentially like 20 light cav and try to snipe the opponent's monastery, because the relics will matter. That's why it's important to collect relics, kids, in case your game gets into a 2-hour-long post-Imperial scenario. By the way, for those that are watching on YouTube, you don't know this, but normally the tournament started on 10 AM Eastern or 14 GMT every day. Robo, the admin of the tournament, actually messaged the casters yesterday evening that today is going to start at 9 AM. And a lot of people were already hyped about that one, because if we start earlier, that means that we have a long day. And now we see why it starts at 9 AM. Because, holy smokes, this game is 2 hours long, and now we're officially out of resources on the map. So, you start mass deleting villagers. You delete all 30 of these. There is no point having them, there is no resources to gather. So, at this point, all you have to do is just start deleting those villagers, start utilizing all the resources that you have in your queue. Oh, there is some more wood on the map. And now it actually starts being bad for Admiral Yi. He needs to deny that resource income over there. Light Cav now finally diving in on the skirmishers, and now there is no more plumed archers. And the Light Cav, even with the +4, well, it's not +4, it's +2 defense, but it's 4 pierce armor, they're actually reasonable at dealing with skirmishers. I wonder if Admiral Yi knows about that wood line. He should. This is a crazy game. Send all villagers to enemy monastery. You're laughing, but it actually makes sense. In fact, honestly, you could really make a case for using villagers as military soon. Because deleting them gives you no benefit. Actually using them as a meat shield here could. Because there is nothing else that you can do with your villagers currently in this game. Like, you see that these villagers are moving to the right side. So they're really going for the leftover wood. Nice resource denial game over there for Admiral Yi. And really, what's going to yield him the victory is going to be the free relics. Because at some point, the map is going to run out of resources. Every single tree will be chopped down, I believe. As I said, I've only seen one game in my life where every single tree was chopped down on Arabia. I have seen, I think, 2 or 3 on islands where it was completely out of resources. But on Arabia, as you see, now the eagles are, or the skirms are diving in, and finally they're focusing on the plumed archers. That's exactly what you should do. Because if you focus down the plumed archers, then the light cav will finish off the game. And the crazy thing about this one is that what is going to decide this is the relic gold. You will see that Admiral Yi needed that relic gold throughout the game, and now this is over. 90 army against 24. Sunjata is still trying to remass his army, but he is running out of juice here. And it looks like Admiral Yi is going to be able to outlast his opponent, send his villagers to the final remaining wood line on the map, as Sunjata is having just 2 skirmishers in the queue. This game is over. And I feel like I'm not going to say it was a well-deserved win for Admiral Yi. I think in the first half of the game he massively outplayed Sunjata, but I really disliked the way that he was struggling to close out the game. Things like this should have happened an hour ago, and he would have had no trouble finishing the game. I think that this could have been a 1 hour long game that Admiral Yi wins relatively easily, and Admiral Yi, who could be Jordan, wins against Sunjata in what was one of the craziest games. It definitely is the craziest game of the tournament, but this was one hell of a carnage. I feel like this was a combination of two things. It was a combination of Admiral Yi playing good enough to finish off his opponent, but also playing bad enough to be too slow doing it. I think if he actually played worse, he would have lost to Sunjata. If he played better, he would have won this game in 1 hour. It was him playing very good in certain moments and quite bad in certain others. But I have to say that the beginning of the game was way better for him. Way, way better. So his unit control, I think, no one remembers that part, but there was the moment where he actually attacked with two sides with the crossbows and also attacked the opponent's crossbows with the skirmishers. That was an excellent move from him. There was a lot of memorable moves in here. 1 hour 47 minutes. And with that, Admiral Yi wins the game. Mayans lack trash that can move fast. Yeah, that's always a problem for Mezzo civs. But I think civ win is a relative term because we could see that Sunjata had the civilization advantage in basically every time before post-imp. He even had egos raiding Admiral Yi's eco. There were some scary moments where the egos almost ran in. Alright, what I want to show is this though, because I feel like this is telling a lot about the game. Double the rally gold, 6.4k, 3.2, and Admiral Yi still took quite a lot of time to win this one. 8k more food, 4k more wood, just a little bit more gold in terms of mining, it appears, and same stone, but still, Admiral Yi did struggle a little bit finishing off the game in Imperial. You see that he never was able to impact his opponent's eco up until the very, very late end of the game. The Huichi Javelineers aren't as strong as they seem, that's true, but they are still better than standard skirmishers. The biggest problem was the relic gold, and being able to deny the wood lines at the end was clutch from Admiral Yi. That being said, we're actually going to the first home map of Sunjata, and the interesting thing is that after an absolutely crazy game like this, it feels so awkward to go back into a Dark Age. Like, it was an insane long game, and then now we're gonna have a game where we just go, okay, whatever. It could be Dark Age once again, it will be Dark Age. Sunjata has Cross, High Tides, Bay as his home maps, Admiral Yi has Islands, Quarry has Gold Rush. I'm really hoping that we're actually going to see Quarry, at least once in a tournament, because we haven't seen it at all so far. So if you are Sunjata, you might be going for Cross with Huns. Let's see if we have the recorded game. Yes, we do. So with that, we're actually gonna go and jump into game number 2 over here. I'm also a little bit shocked after this game. Who are the players? I think it's fairly obvious that I think it's Jordan versus Yo. Look at this, Sunjata Cross, enjoy. We're gonna have Admiral Yi playing in red on the north as Berbers. To the south, it's going to be Sunjata as Huns in blue. And it is Cross, the first home map of Sunjata here. And I feel like Berbers is one of the very few civilizations that I like against Huns in this matchup. I feel like Huns is the top tier civilization for this map here. The mobility of the Cav Archers is always tough to fight against. Apparently we have a Capture Age lag issue. Capture Age? What? What? It looks like Capture Age just decided to die on me. Fear not. We'll actually just restart it. And, get back into the game. Not really a big deal. It looks like Capture Age just decided to die. Alright. So back we are. Hopefully we will be Alright, in this time. So, Admiral Yi Sun-Shin, as I said, on the north, in Berbers in red. To the south, it is... Were we right about Admiral? No. Viper would have closed out the game a lot faster. There is no way. There is no way Admiral Yi is Viper. He's making too many mistakes for that. He's a player that has a very reminiscent style of Viper, but Viper wouldn't have made that many mistakes. And also, Ivailo was making way fewer mistakes, and the thing is that we are fairly certain that Admiral Yi and Ivailo are both GM members, and Ivailo is playing a lot cleaner. So I feel like Ivailo being Viper feels more legitimate. So with that, we're gonna have Admiral Yi, as I said, in Berbers, and Berbers definitely have their answers to Huns, but it also depends a lot on execution on this map. It's all about, can you actually control multiple pawns? It's about multitasking a lot, and that's something that both players seem to be very, very good at. If you remember how our red player played early mid-game Arabia, the tricky thing is gonna be dealing with those cav archers before you have camel archers. If you can get to camel archers, Admiral Yi, I'm starting to like your position. Cav archers, siege ram could still be troublesome for Admiral Yi to deal with, but definitely Berbers is one of the civilizations that has an answer to the Huns. Huns is a predictable pick for this map, so I would think that the Berbers is sort of a counter pick in that. Aren't Berbers a great Huns counter? Yes, I think they are. I think they are actually a very, very good Huns counter, and that's why I'm saying that I like it quite a bit. Apparently, we have a bit of a resolution issue here. What's happening? Capture Age seems to... Give me a moment. Okay, now Capture Age is back. Sorry for that. It looks like the window was a little bit smaller, so you could actually see the edges of the game. But we fixed that. Admiral Yi bringing in war number 2. He already has a dock up here for himself. Didn't push in a single deer. And with that, gold mine is out here on the left side for Admiral Yi. It is a volable map, but it requires quite a lot of effort to vol, which is not so great against the opponent. And was there a wheel snipe on the bottom pond? Well, totally potato caster, but here is Capture Rage to save the day. This actually was designed for potato casters like myself. This feature with the rewind button. So with that, there was a Voyager sniped. You can't snipe a second Voyager because your scout is too weak. But now, we are good to go, and we shall continue. So, indeed, this is the best feature of Capture Rage, and I cannot tell how helpful this is for a caster. Because oftentimes it's impossible to focus on everything. No matter what you do as a caster, you will always miss something. It's not just me, it's not just certain other casters. Every caster will miss certain details. Like, I remember that yesterday, I don't want to spoil anything, but there were some decent demo hits. And I saw a clip that, like, Dave, it was about Dave screaming like crazy on T90 stream. And, oh, that's a disaster for Sunjata. Runs directly into the TC of the opponent and reacted very, very late. So the deal is that, for example, T90 also missed some parts. So even the biggest casters sometimes miss things. It's impossible to focus on everything, especially if you're casting 9-10 hours a day. With that being said, Sunjata has an okay gold mine. Woodland at the back is nice. He's got the pond up, but he's a little bit late with the third fishing ship because obviously his dock was delayed a tiny bit. And we're gonna have a sneaky Voyager coming out here for the left-hand side pond early on. Some small walls for Admiral Yi, but not really a lot. And on the other side, we'll have the Voyagers moving out for a hunt. This is a nice move. I think it's an underrated move to send your Voyagers out in Feudal for the hunt. The reason why you're sending it out right now is because you don't immediately need food. So you can actually afford your food Voyagers dropping off all their food at once instead of having a consistent food income. And it looks like this Voyager is not going to the left side pond, it's going to the pond on the south. Something that might have been spotted by Sunjata, it's hard to tell. Because I'm not sure if the deer was actually pushed by the Voyager. The close presence of the red Voyager might have actually pushed that deer, and honestly, This is also a little bit sloppy from Sunjata, who is moving out with a villager to the left side pond. But the thing is that here, if you're Sunjata, you have to have a fishing ship on this pond. Otherwise, especially considering you lost your scout. Remember, Sunjata lost his scout. He can just send his scout here to check this out. He needs to send the fishing ship here, and finally he's doing it. When his opponent reaches feudal agent, he's going to see, hey, there's a fire galley. And that means that Sunjata has to queue up a fire galley. 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 But he's not queuing up fire galleys, he's making scouts. His opponent is gonna be fully walled, I believe. And that is a disaster, because Berber ships, no, it could be about the wood, but he's getting double bit axe, he's getting a second dock up. And even a fishing ship here. So, don't tell me that he didn't have the wood for a fire galley. He definitely saw the dock, it feels just like potato gameplay, to be honest. I don't know what happened here. Maybe he's just going to say, I'm going to give this pawn to my opponent, I don't know. But he's still not queuing up fire galleys, and there is no excuse now. Fire galleys shouldn't cost more than 50 gold, so I think you can queue up one fire galley. If you actually are there. And you should always expect your opponent docking your pond as well. We have a villager on the right side pond as well, but we have a full walls for Admiral Yi here. I think there might be a tile missing here, so he has to be careful about that. There will be scouts from Sunjata, as they actually pick off the villager on the south. So, no repair villager in here, but Admiral Yi already takes down the opponent's fishing eco. And I just want to check here. You can't see it, but I'm actually checking the tech tree, because I want to make sure. I think it's 40 or 45 gold. A galley is 30, I believe. Yeah, a galley is 30 gold, a demo is 50 gold, and a fire galley is 45. Which means that you can always afford at least one ship no matter what. So there is really no excuse for not making any fishing ships or fire ships here. The only thing that you could consider, as we have a sneaky villager in here, scouts will try to push through this one, and they will be unsuccessful. So the only reason why Sunjata is not actually adding fishing ships here is because I believe he just gives up on his pond. But the reality is that Admiral Yi is able to get docks on the right side pond and the left side pond as well. As I said, that's a bit of a... Wait a second, I have to check this. This might have been a policide trick. This might have been a policide trick here. Indeed, look at the policide trick. I'm going to do slow-mo. This is a straggler tree. You can chop down straggler trees, replace them with a policide, and then delete the policide to get through them. This is a good old-fashioned trick, and this is not something that Admiral Yi was expecting, and that's how that villager is going to die. Or at least, yeah, that villager is dead. That's a little bit sloppy from Admiral Yi, because this could have been a dock over here on the left side. Which means that, like, the idea here for Sunjata is that he's trying to make sure that instead of his pond on the south, he's gonna have fishing on the left. But reality is that it takes a lot of time to build up your fishing eco, and he also tries to push the right side. Villager being attacked diagonally, but there is a fire galley coming in to scare these guys away. No fire galley. Okay, there is a fire galley coming out now for Sunjata, but Sunjata will have no fish on the right pond. He's slowly building up his fishing eco on the left, no fish on the south, whereas his opponent has fish on the north, fish on the south, and full walls, which means that the eco for Admiral Yi right now is up in the skies compared to his opponent. 39 compared to 33. It looks like we only have a couple of scouts out for Sunjata, so he's probably planning to go fast into Castle Age and go for cav archers with Huns. Spearman now out, and the scouts will try to jump on it, but this just means that this villager is safe for the time being, and it looks like Admiral Yi is aware of that dog, but he wasn't able to react to it just yet. Spearman coming out right now, and as you see, Sunjata is dropping multiple outposts to make sure that he's able to see if there's a sneaky villager coming in. Tower coming up now for Sunjata. This tower is only meant to deny the fishing eco here. But I think that's already sort of a desperation moment for Sunjata, if you ask me. Because the thing is that right now, right side pond is neutral. Left side pond, he has 4 fishing ships. His opponent has 4 fishing ships on the south. and he's got 5 on the north. And if you look at the resources, Admiral Yi is going to beat his opponent to the Castle Age, and honestly, if you're Berbers here, what you probably try to do, as that's a nice move, that's a very nice move from Sunjata, bringing in his scouts to deal some damage against the fire ship. Another fire galley comes in here in any moment now for Admiral Yi though, which means that once again Admiral Yi is going to have the upper hand in the water fight. Tries to save that fire galley, but now that the tower is out there, the Voyager should die. So the thing is that if you are Berbers here and you beat your opponent to Castle Age and you expect Cav Archers and think you have to expect Cav Archers, you go triple stable knights. You can definitely afford it with Berbers, especially with such a good food eco. So go triple stable knights, you will have a 30 seconds advantage into Castle Age, and just flood your opponent with knights. You can even mix in a couple of camos, but you're gonna need bloodlines and defense upgrades for that. Still no farming being added by Admiral Yi. I would love to see him adding a couple of farms, just for a bit more consistent food eco. And this is a little bit sloppy from Admiral Yi over there, with the vultures on the berries, and he almost got a couple of them picked off by the scouts, but nice quick walls. So I don't like that he's deleting the quick walls though. Just keep them there, because those scouts, well, those scouts do not have any upgrades, so it's still fine. With that being said, it looks like Admiral Yi will try to reclaim the right side pond. For now, it's completely fine for him to just contest the pond, and with Fletching coming in for Sunjata, I think that's gonna be Cav Archer play. Slowly bowling himself up, but it's only a single layer of palisade, and he's still very, very much open, I would say. So here is almost Castle Age for Admiral Yi, and it looks like he's only playing with double stables for now. But I feel like there has to be a third one. There has to be a third stable here. Knights are out, +2 defense has to come in, and War Galley even. Once again, nice move that you're using this dock for War Galley. Another sneaky dock coming in here for Admiral Yi as well. So the Voyager needs to wall himself in, but if he does that, the fire galley isn't going to be able to stop it. And that could be 4 pawns under the control of Admiral Yi, because War Galley is just now out. Bloodlines on the way for Sunjata, and he's going for triple range CA. This is the scary part, I believe, for Admiral Yi. He needs triple stables because he needs to match up against triple stable Cav Archers. The dock is up and he can start pushing left side though. Fire ships pop out. Even a demo, that's going to be a fairly inefficient demo, to be honest. You probably don't even want to waste it. But you still did. Knights coming in now though, that could be an easy Voyager pick over there, as the scouts are trying to finish off the Voyagers over here. Once again, quick walls will be happening, but fire ships will be out, and this might force a War Galley play from Sunjata. He needs to invest into War Galley if he wants to stop this one. This Voyager is gonna die, because there is a fire galley killing it. But it doesn't really matter that much, to be honest. It's still a free Voyager's lead for Admiral Yi, and he's contesting the opponent's fishing eco. Cav Archers are out, but it's only a couple of Cav Archers, 4 of them in fact. If you are Admiral Yi, indeed you're going for Fast Husbandry, because Fast Husbandry is going to help you a lot chasing down the Cav Archers, and I feel like this is exactly what you want to do. Constant pressure with camos, with Husbandry. I like that he prioritized the Husbandry over the +2 defense, but now he needs the defense upgrade as well. And I think it would have been better if he just plays with 4 Knights, because Knights have a better Pierce Armor by default. So as long as you don't have +2 defense, you probably want to go with Knights that have +2. Or, well, just 2 default Pierce Armor for a total of 3 instead of camos. Now, camos are a little bit scarier against the Cav Archers, though. And the wall goes down here as well. If you can keep applying pressure to that gold mine, your opponent won't be able to make Cav Archers. You see that 2 of these ranges are idle. And I feel like Admiral Yi is getting closer and closer to game number 2 being in his hands as well, because he's killing Voyagers of the opponent, and indeed Admiral is already sending Voyagers to stone, which means Camel Archers will be a thing in the foreseeable future. Now, production will be on the side of the Huns, but I think that he's doing the right thing. Just send in the Camels and force away the Cav Archers, and send in Knights to the gold mine, and make sure that you deny the gold from your opponent, because that's what you are trying to build on. Oh, look at this, more Camels coming in now. And you see that Sunjata is forced to sell so much food to get gold for himself, but he is down by 10 Voyagers, and I have to say that this is a cleaner game, a lot cleaner game from Admiral Yi. He seems to play really smart out here, and like, there is no gold for Sunjata. No gold means no Cav Archer production. It is cheap Berber Camels against him. Here is the +2 defense as well. I feel like Admiral Yi could play this one with just Knights as well. Also, missing bloodlines is a big mistake though from Admiral E, so it's not super clean, but it works out well for him. He's got Boso and Horse Color, will be on free TCs. His opponent is just adding TC number 2 with no reliable gold income, and he's outnumbered quite heavily on the field, and Cav Archers need good numbers to start becoming a factor. A lot of idle time as well on Sunjata's eco. His fishing eco was killed on the left side while he was microing against this one. And one thing that you always have to add about Cav Archers is that's a nice find. That's a very nice find from Sunjata, although a lot of those scouts are weak, so I don't think they can actually kill free vultures, especially with the knight around. But one of the things that you have to know about Cav Archers is that you need a lot of babysitting for them. So you have to constantly micro them and control them, whereas for camels and knights, you just send them in, and they will be able to do their job. You still have to sometimes look at them, but it's much easier to control a group of knights and potentially camels than it is to control a group of Cav Archers. And right now, it's 4 lakes in the hands of Admiral Yi. He's got 3 TCs, and honestly, if you are Admiral Yi, you actually consider bringing out your camels. You don't want to take this fight anymore because that's a nice choke point, although you actually get a decent surround. So I feel like this is good one. This is good one for Admiral Yi. Not an ideal fight, but he's lowering the Cav Archer numbers, and that matters a lot. So I feel like the alternative for Admiral Yi would have been to take the camels and knights to the outside and drop a castle here. Because if you drop a castle here on this hill, I don't think that Sunjata can stop it right now. And you would have been able to deny or kill all of those ranges. There's the stone that's needed for Admiral Yi for the castle. He's pulling more villagers to stone, so he definitely wants another castle. So, 30C coming in here for Sunjata, and we're gonna have a safe castle. This is still alright, I think. Especially considering Sunjata's eco isn't great. Look at it. Sunjata has 6 villagers on food, so yeah, he's gonna have 3 TCs, but he's gonna have no food eco to keep them working. So right now it's already a 22 villagers lead for Admiral Yi, but it is just going to continue growing and growing. And indeed, Admiral Yi is having a big game right now. I feel like his multitasking is really sharp right now. It would be a shocker if this was really a Jordan versus EO, but I don't think it's impossible, because the thing is that Sunjata isn't playing bad. But this Berbers is sort of a counterpick to what he was doing, and small details went well for Admiral Yi. So for example, picking off village at the beginning, being able to get this dock up here, and then get this dock up. Sunjata never pressured the opponent's fishing eco, and I feel like Sunjata gave up on his own pond very easily. So he just let those fishing ships die. That was a massive eco advantage at the beginning. So now Camel Archers coming in, and with that, he still needs Ballistics, Botkin, but I think he can just sit back and boom. What I would love to see from him though is Stone Walls, or even just House Walls behind, because the easiest way to die against Cav Archers is just to leave single layer palisade walls. Cav Archers will break into your base and will kill 20 villagers. So if you are Admiral Yi, you want to reinforce these walls with something. Stone walls, houses, because you see that Sunjata is indeed planning to go for this one. He's going to try and get through the walls, as we have a transport ship even. A transport ship by our red player. He's going to go and get the relic out there. I'm not sure if that's an investment I like currently, although you have to say that if you actually pick up 4 relics from the corners, that's a nice value overall. Camel's now jumping on top of the Cav Archers, and that's some very disastrous pathfinding over there for Sunjata. Losing, what is that, 6-7 CA, and the Camel Archers are already on the field. Something that Sunjata technically knows about. He knows there is a castle, so he should know there is Camel Archers being in the mix. I think the big difference though is this one, 96 compared to 63. By the way, the Berbers could do Janitors here as well. I completely forgot. Janitors is not a bad unit in this situation. Nice move. This is a very nice move from Sunjata. Coming in with the Cav Archers, picking up the fishing ships. What you would do if you're Admiral Yi is make a dock here and go for the fishing eco over there. Camel Archers now coming in. Now with Ballistics, +2 defense just now in for them as well. And they will focus down the Voyager first to prevent a potential docking here. And now they will go for the Cav Archers. So, more cav archers coming in here. There's a siege workshop with scorpions and battering rams, but I feel like Admiral Yi has enough juice here, especially if he actually gets a castle up to take this fight. You kind of have to send in the camels and the camel archers, though it's a little bit sloppy from Admiral Yi that he's not doing this because he could be losing a lot of villagers. But camels dive in, snipe the scorpion, and then the camel archers can just finish off the cav archers. I think you just need to jump into the PC though. He lost like 5-6 villagers that should have not been lost, I think. But still, I mean, it's camel archers versus cav archers, 103 eco against 69 only. It's a nice number, but it's not really going to help you win this game, to be honest. And really, at this very moment, it looks like Admiral isn't going to build a new... What is this for himself? A new dock for himself. He's picking up relic number 1 right now. And really the next thing that Huns can do in this situation is potentially Cav Archer Siege Ram. Or potentially like just go back to Knight and Siege Ram. But they don't really have the eco for this one. Like, this is a post-Imperial composition. The next time that the Berbers are vulnerable against Huns will be with Siege Ram, but I'm not even sure if we are getting there. Because as things stand, we already see Elite Skirms being mixed in by Sunjata, but that's just going to prompt a switch back into Cavalier. I think, in fact, we might just see Imperial Age from Admiral Yi into Cavalier or potentially Heavy Camo. Both works quite nicely. Cavalier makes more sense, but he already has a lot of camos out, so Heavy Camo is definitely a possibility. Snipes down a Mangonel here nicely. He sees the skirmishers as well. He will not lose. He will not lose a single camo to a conversion over here. Now camos once again. Going in, and that's an offensive market. Interesting. We're gonna have a castle being dropped here. This market is being dropped here because I think that Admiral Yi wanted to buy stone and drop a castle here, but he didn't have the stone, so he pressed the market hotkey, but then he realized that he isn't able to afford a market. That's gonna be a counter castle as well over there, but at this point, I mean, it's 13 army against 27, and the Camel Archers will start denying that castle as well. It looks like Admiral Yi is just going to play it safe, bail out on that castle. And I think if you can get a castle up here, that's perfectly fine as well. So, this game is so over. 27 army compared to 7. 155 population against 85 pop. Sunjata is dead here. He has no win condition. Like, he's losing from every possible aspect of the game. He's up against 3 relics. He is getting castle dropped right now. If this castle goes up, these 3 arch ranges will be completely useless. And he's got camel archers inside his eco. It seems like he just doesn't want to resign just yet, but he's so dead right now. I don't know what he's hoping in. Maybe he hopes that once again he can stall out the game enough to come back in here. But I mean, he's up against 50 villagers on food. In fact, if Admiral Yi balanced out his eco, which is something that he's doing right now, he would be going into Imperial. At latest, when Admiral Yi reaches Imperial, Sunjata will tap out, but it's 8,000 score against 6,000, and it looks like there is no answer right now from Sunjata to Camel Archers. A couple of skirmishers won't really stop this one, especially with knights being mixed in. Wherever I look, Admiral Yi is beating Sunjata, and when I started this series, I said it's very likely that it is a Jordan versus Yo matchup. But if it really is, it's gonna be a surprise. So Admiral Yi defeated the player who I believe was MBL in a previous round, and many people said, could Jordan beat MBL? Maybe. Not so sure about Yo, but he's having a great time over here. The first game, he needed to have some luck, to be honest, because he was on 3 relics that helped quite a bit, so he was barely able to win that game. This game was a lot more convincing. Came down to small facts like picking off a Voyager, and I think the biggest thing was that Sunjata never was able to protect his fishing eco at the beginning, and he had to rebuild his fishing eco on the left, whereas his opponent was just fish booming on 2 pawns. And that propelled Admiral Yi to a better castle age time. Better castle age time means that he was able to go for the early knights and camels and push back the opponent with the cav archers, push him off from gold, that lowers the Cav Archer production, and that pretty much crippled the army numbers for Sunjata, whereas behind that one, Admiral Yi was able to add multiple TCs. So with that, you see resources way better for Admiral Yi over here. Doubt versus Mysterio, I don't think so. I think Doubt is someone else. So with that, we are gonna have game number 2 coming in. So, well, not game number 2, game number 3 coming in, and the second home map of Sunjata, we have Bay and High Tides left for him. We have Berber's gone for Admiral Yi. He sort of counterpicked the Hun's pick right now, and High Tides and Bay. So if it is Bay, I would assume it's Mongols. And what do you pick against Mongols? You pick Malay potentially, I believe. If it's High Tides, Admiral Yi has the best civilization by far for High Tides. And that is Japanese. So I think if it's High Tides, he's got Japanese, and that's a big advantage. Malay versus Mongols is open to both sides. But I think if it's High Tides, it's probably gonna be Persians, because Portuguese will probably go islands. Gold Rush could be Spanish. And Quarry could be Byzantines, to be honest. Byzantines could be a pick as well. It could be the sneaky pick for Bay. And they use Mongols on a map like Quarry, for example, if we actually get there. With that, we have game number 3 coming in. And we will jump inside right away. So Admiral Yi Sun-Shin versus Sunjata. This is not the first time Admiral Yi is actually part of a Hidden Cup event. Previously, I think it was a show match before Hidden Cup 3, where Admiral Yi Sun-Shin was one of the heroes. So, and neither of the heroes that is in the main event of Hidden Cup 4 have been used in other Hidden Cups before as an actual, alias. But they could have been used in previous show matches. So I think Admiral Yi was one of those that actually played in a show match already. Obviously, it's not the same person, but it's the same hero name. So sometimes hero names like this get reused. With that being said, we are having a Persians in blue versus Japanese matchup for Admiral Yi on the right side in red. And I just want to take a quick look at the stats for Hidden Cup 4. Main event statistics aren't necessarily representative because the data set isn't really huge, but I just want to point out that on High Tides, currently Japanese have a 5th, that's actually a weird number, but Japanese have 2 wins, 1 losses right now on High Tides. Persians have 1 win, 0 losses. Other cities that were attempted here were Mongols, Malians, and Lithuanians, but Japanese still the most popular civilization selection for High Tides. And the thing is that at the end of the day, the Japanese fishing ships being a lot sturdier helps an awful lot. So it is extremely helpful that it is easier to keep your fishing ships alive. And if you secure water on this map, I think every game I have seen so far, if you secure water and have the fishing eco advantage over your opponent, you are going to win the game, basically. So whoever has the water seems to have a massive, massive, massive lead here. In this one, we'll have villagers coming in here from Admiral Yi, and same for Sunjata. They have their scouts close to their villagers both, but I would like to see if those scouts were actually closer to the villagers, because you never know if your opponent wants to snipe your villager or not. So, first board coming in here for Admiral Yi, as we're going to have the dock. I think you drop the dock here because you're actually in between these this tree. And we're gonna have a scout fight over here. Voyager comes in to help out, and that's an early hit landed by Admiral Yi, which means he has the HP advantage. That quick wall is alright for making the dog, but you have to delete those and go for this quick wall because you want to take the shore fish. Both players coming in with the dog. obviously the Persian docks work faster and they're also harder to kill, that's something, but I feel like the big thing here is number one, the faster working Japanese fishing ships, which help you gather food better in Dark Age, and number two, and this is actually a smart play from Blue, tries to make sure that that Voyager is trapped in there. Indeed, he's actually going to trap that Voyager. This is extremely important because if you trap that Voyager, then he's not going to be able to build another dock. Although I think this Voyager can delete this polycide, chop down the reeds, and then he can actually place another dock over here. But the idea of trapping a Voyager over here is that you probably want to deny your opponent from making a second dock. That being said, this is an absolutely amazing deep fish for our red player. Look at this. His fishing ships don't even have to move to drop off food. See, 15 food, drops it off. This is a perfect drop-off fish. Like, in comparison, you see how much travel distance there is for Sunchata, and small things like those actually matter a lot. Like, this is an absolutely amazing dock spot for Admiral Yi, who also has the HP advantage in the Scout War, something that shouldn't be overlooked either. So, we already have the third fishing ship coming in here for both players. Persian docks working faster means that it's going to be out for Sunchata a little bit earlier than it is for his opponent. So, look at this. I think Sunchata is sending the fishing ship over there so that he can actually take away the fish from the opponent because he knows exactly how good that deep fish is. So he's trying to just take away as much of it as he can. Fuel age will be absolutely even, which gives a bit of an edge to the Persian player when it comes to getting fire galleys out because his docks work faster. There will be a fourth fishing ship being added by our Persian player. No fourth fishing ship by our Japanese guy. And I'm fairly certain that our Persian player will try to drop another dock in here. Indeed, sending Voyagers to gold and a second wood line means that he's actually going to play Galley Rush, whereas Admiral Yi is actually going for what is a somewhat conventional Japanese strategy here, and that's a man-at-arms opening. Makes some sense because the man-at-arms opening can do a lot of damage if your opponent is not fully walled, or if he doesn't have good quick walls. And the idea behind this one is that it's so hard to kill Japanese fishing ships that you can afford to just play one dock for a while. I think there will be a second dock added, but it's going to be a delayed second dock, and we might even see man-at-arms towers here. I don't think it's going to be a sustained tower push, but based on the scouting of Admiral Yi, what he would probably try to do is maybe getting a tower up over there. It's not going to happen because you see that Sunchata is walling this one off, but if he's able to land the tower on the gold mine, that's an absolutely dream scenario. Wood line denial isn't going to be a big thing because there is another wood line over here, and I wouldn't like a wood line denial at all. That's a bad decision. In a Galley Rush strategy, you always go for two wood lines, or at least in the majority of the cases. A man-at-arms double bit axe coming in here first for Admiral Yi. So apparently he's unable to afford a fire galley, so he still needs to be careful. As I said, whoever wins water usually wins the game here. Man-at-arms almost in, but only one man-at-arms on the field. But there is the gold mine that's going to be towered. And what Sunchata needs to do is drop a defensive tower over here behind his walls. And for Admiral Yi, he needs to start knocking on those walls like a madman, Japanese man-at-arms, trying to get through the walls. But this means that there is no gold income for Sunchata. No gold income means no fire galleys. It doesn't matter that you have two docks if you don't actually have the fire galleys out. Now, Admiral Yi was housed for a moment, and that's going to hurt him quite badly. And I wonder if Sunchata knows about that. Wait a second. I think Sunchata didn't know about that tower until it was finished. That's a disaster for him. And he can fall back to this gold mine, but oh, that's an awful defensive tower. That defensive tower doesn't accomplish anything. Like, it's going to stop the man-at-arms from breaking in, but it doesn't actually give you your gold back, and at the end of the day, Admiral Yi is going to be able to keep his fishing eco alive, and see, double docks for Sunchata, 0 fire ships. The game plan once again coming in here, I think it's fairly obvious that Red is a GL player, because the game plan is absolutely top-notch, as the man-at-arms will try running past the TC, nice reactions from our blue player. Also walls in the tower, and I really think that he's using his civs really well here, and you see that, congratulations Sunchata, you have 2 docks, but you don't actually have fire galleys out because you don't have gold. It looks like the Voyagers are actually going to continue towering, as we are going to have the additional gold mine being added, stone mine as well, so there will be a defensive tower for Sunchata in the foreseeable future. Admiral Yi actually sees the other gold mine, so he knows exactly where to go, and he gets through an overchop. Oh my goodness. Disaster. Disaster. This is an absolute disaster. All these wars for nothing for Sunjata, and everything seems to fall apart for him. Because now, Capture Age freezing once again for a moment, but is Japanese men-at-arms inside the eco, and it's about the idle time right now. Another Voyager gets yoinked, make it potentially a second Voyager dying as well. Yeah, there's a second one as well. And if you look at the water, by the way, now it's more fire galleys for Admiral Yi, because his opponent isn't able to get wood or gold. So Tower comes in here on the other wood line, and right now Sunjata still has the even Voyager count, but at the end of the day, guess what? There is no fishing eco working for him. He's just about to start remaking his fire galleys, but that gives a nice advantage for Admiral Yi. He's looking for a fishing eco of his opponent, but he's unable to find it. It is important that Sunjata keeps these alive, but idling them isn't great either, as the demo is looking out for them as well. A tower goes up to deny the wood line, and behind this one there is an archer range on the way now for Admiral Yi. Admiral Yi only has 2 fishing ships though, that's something I do not like. Beautiful demo hit over there, sinking all 4 of the fishing ships, and that means that even if Sunjata gets the water back, he's not gonna have food eco. I would like to point out that he has free on food right now, so he's gonna have TC at all time as well, because you can't sustain Voyager production with free on wood. Nicely walled in towers as well. And, well, like, this archer is actually a nice move from Sunjata. He's going to kill the Voyager here, and there's nothing that Admiral Yi can do about this one. So it's still 2 docks versus 1, and that's something that we should pay attention for. As good as it looks like for Admiral Yi, this game is not over. And as I said, whoever wins water usually wins the game. The thing, however, is that fuel age fishing income is the most important fishing income in the game. Well, like, to put it better way, the time frame where fishing income is the most important is Dark Age fuel age, because you want to get to a good fuel age time and a good castle age time. So Admiral Yi being able to keep his fishing eco alive this long actually means that he's got 400 food in the bank. Even if he loses his fishing eco right now, and you see that Sunjata could actually start making fishing eco once again, that doesn't change the fact that Admiral Yi already benefited massively from the fishing eco, and he's going to beat his opponent into castle age by a massive margin. And the castle age would mean Knights, Siege Workshop, and the potential push on the other gold mine. So with that, it looks like indeed fishing ships will be coming in for Sunjata, as another dock is out, by the way, for Admiral Yi. He, I think, is idling his docks though, because he wants to click up into Castle Age and he doesn't want to spend a lot more gold here. He's sending in archers. Right now it's 2 archers versus 5. 36 Voyagers against 32. I did mention that there will be T-Saddle time for Sunjata, and you're starting to see that. So, with that, more fire galleys are coming in. I think Admiral Yi will try to do the exact same thing that he did in the previous game. Go for 4 galley. And he did that in the previous one as well. It was an even fight on water, but he beat his opponent into Castle Age, and he went for War Galley. Should cancel that Voyager and click up. Should cancel that Voyager and click up. Okay, here it is. And a couple of archers trying to launch a counterattack. Nice move from Admiral Yi, dropping the outpost so that he's gonna have vision across the map. And we are gonna have, indeed, fire galleys being queued up inside those docks, waiting for fire ship. That could be 1 or 2 Voyagers killed, but it's only 2 archers without fletching, so I don't think that many of these Voyagers will die. I think one of them might, but there is archers coming in here, so nope, no Voyagers killed. I once again like the move from Admiral Yi, also picking up the food in the hunt. And Sunjata is getting close to Castle Age, but he's gonna be at least a minute behind. And what that means is that he's gonna be up against potentially Knights in Siege. Although if you are Admiral Yi, right now you're going crossbows. Persians do have bonus damage against archers on their knights, which means that I think the right decision to make here would be to start going for pike and siege approach. It looks like Admiral Yi will save the dock over here, and it's probably gonna be War Galley. crossbows forward Siege Workshop. He's actually very close to his opponent, so he can actually start going for Siege Workshop immediately. Now, taking out the TC is actually hard with Siege, though, because it's a Persian TC. It's a 2 minutes advantage into Castellation. We'll have Stone Walls for Sunjata. But the thing is that Stone Walls this, Stone Walls that. That doesn't change the fact that once again the Japanese player is going to take over the water and just outboom you, flat out. So, crossbows now in defensive tower up for our blue player, but the crossbows with the hill might actually be able to pick off one villager or so. On the water, it seems like we're not gonna have the war galley upgrade after all, but we'll have a mining camp in the middle here for Admiral E on the gold mine. There is no forward siege workshop. Instead, Admiral Yi decides to play this one safe and play with free TCs. He feels like he can just keep playing gold denial game and marches to the back of the wood line. Would be a nice move from him to pick off a couple of vultures, and he once again is playing resource denial. Just harassing the back of this wood line. This wood line is denied, same for this one. So there isn't really a lot of wood to work with for Sunjata. And now the crossbows will actually try to dive in on the other wood line, but there's a tower here, so this shouldn't really work for Admiral Yi. In fact, he loses a couple of crossbows. So it is fairly obvious that the Persian player has to go for knights, which I think should mean that Admiral Yi goes for spearmen and pikemen. Vorgalin as well for Sunjata, so Admiral Yi has to be careful here, because I think that he's doing the right things, but some of the ingredients are missing, so shouldn't underestimate the importance of War Galley potentially, and he should still focus on the fact that his opponent can go knights. It's only a 3 villagers lead right now at the end of the day for Admiral Yi, and he's up against fire ships. Really no one actually has the water right now. So, free TC play right now, so it looks like Admiral Yi is just dropping farms over here and going for more crossbows. Even if he mixes in a couple of Japanese spearmen, that helps against the early knights a lot. These knights just getting +1 defense, no bloodlines right now, so it's not like those knights are super devastating right now, but they could be a strong force to deal with. One thing that we always have to consider is that Sunjata's only reasonable gold mine is this one right now. So if all that Admiral Yi does is denying this gold, that's already a dream. Because Sunjata is going to start running out of gold. You see that he's got about 1.5k in this one, which seems a lot, but it's actually not. So if Admiral Yi is able to deny this stone mine or this gold mine, potentially even send a vulture and wall that in, and keep denying this gold mine as well, that's gonna be great for him. The great decision from Sunjata to go for a siege workshop though. It looks like Admiral Yi gives up on the water. Sunjata coming back for with a fish boom. This is starting to look better and better for Sunjata, to be honest, because I don't think that Admiral Yi is doing enough damage here. His free TC's boom, that's nice, but his opponent is gonna have a fish boom, and his opponent is gonna have 2 Persian TCs working, and Persian Knights will also be able to dominate against the crossbows. 3rd TC coming in right now. We only have double bit axe for Sunjata though, and already Boso and Horse Color for Admiral Yi, but there is a wheelbarrow on the side of Sunjata, so the real villager difference is more like 3 or 4. A knight gets intercepted by the crossbows, Boso just now coming in. And it looks like we're gonna have a full boom war here. It is TC number 4 coming in for Admiral Yi. So, let's see what those crossbows are up to. The crossbows are just garrisoning the tower. And the reason why you do that is because there is going to be a siege workshop. I wonder if Admiral Yi knows about that. Yeah, Admiral Yi sees the siege workshop. So he knows that mine gunners will be coming. And he garrisons crossbows inside. And I guess these villagers will actually drop a siege workshop. Because the idea is that you want to be able to get your own mangonels and just counter mangonel this one. It's all about gold denial right now. Knights running fast though, and this map is open enough for mobility to become a factor, although you can technically wall your base. If you're Admiral Yi and you want to play it this way, you gotta start walling yourself up, like wall here, wall here. It's not really super hard to wall this one at this stage. He kinda has to do the same thing that he did in the previous, or not the previous, but the Arabia game. Guard tower in for Admiral Yi. he really wants to make sure that gold mine is denied. That's the entire game plan for him. What he needs to make sure though as well is that he denies this gold mine as well. And the thing is that I'm not sure if he can actually keep denying that. And the reason why is because what Sun-Jata is going to do is mass around 5, 6, 7 knights with 2 or 3 mangonels and drop a castle here. And, or not even here, I think if he just drops a castle here, you can actually get those towers down and get the gold mine back for himself. I don't think that Admiral Yi can actually sustain pressure on that gold mine. That being said, the Voyager lead is only 2 for Admiral Yi. As I said, he's up against 3 Persian TCs and the Persian Fish Boom. But here comes a demo snipe from Admiral Yi. Something that Sun-Jata doesn't see. A beautiful demo snipe. In fact, 3 fishing ships down is his opponent. And those are expensive fishing ships. Battering ram coming out now to deal with the tower that is walled in over there. Another tower on the way. Second stable in for Sun-Jata. So I think you will need pikemen if you are Admiral Yi. You can't just play with crossbows all day, all night. It's only +1 defense, no bloodlines on those knights, so it's fine for now. But when better upgrades come in, you have to start considering something else. So it looks like another tower is going to come in here, and we are seeing a castle-age tower rush. 1,000 gold in the bank for Admiral Yi as things stand, and this actually causes a lot of idle time on Sun-Jata's eco. Surprisingly, Admiral Yi has more idle time overall, gets heavy flow for himself, and he needs to add a lot more farming because he's floating a lot of food and now sending a lot of Voyagers to stone. So I think now it's a castle drop. If you land the castle here for Admiral Yi, and you should have all the options to drop the castle there. There's the castle for Sun-Jata. No surprise about that one. I think this castle is good for Sun-Jata to clean up these towers. But what you want as Admiral Yi is a castle around here now. Because that would still, or even a guard tower here, that would still deny the gold mine. Also, getting up tower, or getting up a castle against guard towers is a little bit tricky. If you focus down the Voyagers manually with the tower, you can actually kill a couple of them, but it looks like that's not going to happen, and Admiral Yi is going to bail out on this attempt. Keep in mind that Sun-Jata's eco is still pretty much comparable to the opponent's eco here. We still have fire galleys coming out for Admiral Yi going war galley, so he wants to make sure that his opponent isn't getting that pawn. It looks like another tower being attempted with a couple of crossbows supporting, but as I said, those are Persian knights, and even though it's only +1 defense, they deal extra damage against archers, so they should be able to clean this up, and that tower isn't going up at all. That's a bit of failure from our red player, and once again, I kind of feel like he had a bit of an advantage, but he wasn't really able to use it to anything, to be honest. So now it is a matter of getting to Imperial, because he's gonna beat his opponent to Imperial, that's no question. Not by a massive margin, I would expect at least about 30 seconds to a minute. And it kind of has to be a halberdier. It kind of has to be a halberdier push, like drop a castle somewhere around over here, get trebs and halberdiers, and you should be good to go. Ballistics just now coming in for Admiral Yi. If he retains this many crossbows, you can actually go for Arbalest as well. You see that Sun-Jata's food eco isn't bad, but he still needs some time until he's actually able to go into Imperial. He is on 3 TCs still, now getting his gold mine back. And as I said, he's gonna be about a minute and a half, not a minute and a half, about a minute behind in terms of Imperial Age. He finds the opponent's docks over here, but there is a demo ship being prepared. And once again, the fire ships are just doing so much harassment on Sun-Jata's fishing eco. That is absolutely crazy. Pikeman on the way, and Sun-Jata needs to sell his wood and go up. If he doesn't go up, he's gonna get beaten by halberdiers and trebs. Because if that castle goes down, this gold mine is gone. Fire ships now pop out. There was a fairly bad demo hit over here as well. But it is 4 fire ships over here, and there will be probably a couple more from Admiral Yi. So he once again will push the water. And this is the first time that a water control doesn't actually snowball into an ultimate victory. We also have Admiral Yi collecting relics. He is sitting on 3 relics right now, and it's an underrated thing to do. There is 2 relics over here. One is actually hiding inside this rock. You can see the glow over there. But Admiral Yi could very well be sitting on 5 relics. It's a very underrated thing to collect relics. And I feel like having 5 relics in this map is absolutely bonkers as well. There's the castle, no surprise about that. And I would think that if you're Admiral Yi, you keep sending Voyagers to stone. You'll probably add 5 more over here because you want the second castle to solidify that position. With that being said, the Monk apparently is sneaking all the way around. The corner squires chainmail on the way, and as expected, there is like a minute difference in between the two players to Imperial. Should be Arbalest and Halberdier as well, but the first thing that you make here is a trap, indeed. The priority is to start shelling that castle as soon as possible. It looks like we are going to have... that's a nice ground attack over there from Sunjata. We're going to have full stable play here, which means that as the Monk here trying to join the final relic, that's not really going to happen. Crocodiles join the fight over here, chasing down the Knights, but that Monk isn't going to be successful. Arbalest coming in, but no Bracer as of yet. And you will need a lot of Halberdiers, and I think one more thing that Admiral Yi needs is walls. Because Japanese is a slow civilization, you want mobility. I also don't like that he's sending all of his pikemen to the south. Like, I get that he wants that relic, but keeping that trap alive is a lot more important, and I'm not sure if that's a good position for that trap either. Now he's gonna get Arbalest. He is without Bracer, but that doesn't matter that much, although it matters because of the range. Oh, Mangonel could actually land a big shot over here. Mangonel actually gets one big connection, but the damage output of Arbalest is much better than Crossbow's. Nice split in the final second. And Sunjata will be forced to repair that castle, but he will actually be forced to buy resources to do that. Still, he is gonna get a reasonable amount of cavalry out on the field, or at least he's getting the upgrades, but it's light cav, and light cav won't actually help you here. He could definitely get cavalier, but you don't get your Persian bonus on your light cav. So light cav is just going to be a slow and painful death. Japanese pikemen will just laugh at light cav, as Sunjata is out of stone. No second trap here, a bit of a mistake for Admiral Yi, if you ask me. Trying to chase down those knights with the pikemen. I think this is clearly showing that you need walls if you are Admiral Yi. We also have a sneaky market up here, but more importantly, a tower at the back of the opponent's base here. Second trap coming in just now for Admiral Yi now with Halberdier, intercepts that army as well. And one thing that Sunjata doesn't really have his army numbers. It's 63 army against 17. Admiral Yi is losing, or Admiral Yi is winning water once again. No surprise with such a name, and light cav won't do anything here to you. Like, even Cavalier will actually be troublesome. Commanderang coming in, so you actually want those cheap crossbows, but the thing is that Arbalest Halberdier will beat light cav and Commanderang crossbow any day, any night. And I think all you need if you're Admiral Yi is just to make sure that you don't get raided to death, because everything else seems to be going in your favor. It looks like that castle is gonna go down. And with that, the gold mine of Sunjata is exposed over there. The other gold mine is accessible still, so he has gold income, but he only has 11 villagers on gold. Woodline gets towered as well. And it seems like Admiral Yi is marching closer and closer, or well, fittingly, if he's Admiral, then he probably is sailing closer and closer to game number 3 victory, but it's not over just yet, because it looks like Sunjata is going to move to the middle here for the gold mines. Admiral Yi losing quite a lot of villagers over there. I think Admiral Yi still has to be fast with his attack, but if he's fast enough, he's going to capitalize on this 67-13 advantage. Admiral Yi will probably try to contest this water once again in some way or another. Like, trying to get a dock up here could be an idea with these voyages, but they're already dead. But I mean, right now there is no answer for Sunjata to the opponent's army composition. And conscription just now in. I think if Admiral Yi vows himself and potentially drops a castle here, he's gonna be good to go. So turns into champions, interestingly. Or yeah, it has to be champions because there is supplies coming in for him. I don't know what he's planning with his champions. Murder Hose actually is a reasonable upgrade here if he wants to push with Yasama Towers, and Yasama Towers will definitely be something to consider for these players. It looks like we also have Admiral Yi moving to the south here for some gold and stone, but guess what? Once again, Admiral Yi has vision on this, and he sees that there is his opponent. Admiral Yi is just everywhere, man. Wherever I look on the map, Admiral Yi knows that his opponent is over there. And soon it's gonna be wood denial game. Once again, villagers will have nowhere to run, because they're running to the south, but there is Halberdiers over here as well. And now the Halberdiers will flood this position, and Halberdiers also deal bonus damage against fire ships and overall generally ships, so they will sink them really easily. And I think if you are Admiral Yi, you drop towers here. You actually start going for Yasama Towers, and there's just nowhere to go for Sunjata. Wherever he's going,
he's getting pushed. 78 army against 23, and if this is really Jordan versus Yo, this is going to be one of the biggest upsets of the series, because so far Admiral Yi is stomping his opponent. It's not a stomp in terms of execution. In fact, I believe that Admiral Yi is having some sloppy execution sometimes. But the game plan is just so good. And this is one of the reasons why I really feel that this is a GL member, because the game plan for every game seems razor sharp, and you see that he's just everywhere. Champions are now in, and I guess the champion is sort of a counter here to the Commander on crossbows. Could work, but I don't think it's actually a great counter to them. I think your own Arbalasts are just better. That's a nice move there from Sunjata, and the first really bad situation for Admiral Yi. By the way, this is Admiral Yi's houses, so he actually protects the traps with those. There is Keep coming in, and it's now 106 Villagers only for Sunjata, losing Villagers left and right. Yasama towers coming in the middle. They're not with Yasama just yet, but they are towers, soon to be keeps. And 3 Villagers only on gold for Sunjata. He can go for Trash Bows, but his opponent has pretty much infinite gold from the middle. So at the end of the day, Admiral Yi can either go for his own skirms, or he can just go Arbalest. Arbalest with Bracer, even though they don't have any armor, which is a little bit sloppy, considering that the opponent has +4 defense on them. But Arbalest with Bracer and full upgrades will just be able to beat Commander on crossbows. And obviously, cost efficiency will be on the side of the Commander on crossbows. But there is so much gold here for Admiral Yi that he shouldn't really care about that, to be honest. So, with that, we are gonna have the Arbalest once again pushing on the gold mine. A little bit sloppy once again for Admiral Yi, losing too many Villagers over here. In fact, he's down to 100 Vills. And yeah, this is the real question. Could Jordan do this to Mr. Yo? And I think yes and no. I'm a little surprised that he would actually be indeed up against Mr. Yo 3 games. But you can also see that if this is Viper, this is actually a very underwhelming Viper, so to say, because it's a 3-0, but he's making so many sloppy moves. So I feel like this isn't a clean enough game to be a player like Viper. We know it's not a player like Hera or Leary because of no light cav in the first game. So I feel like we have limited options. I feel like the game plan is reminiscent of a GL member, but there's too much sloppiness. What if it's Nikov? Not impossible, but I feel like the game plan makes me feel it's a GL member. Nikov's not an impossible option, but I feel like as weird as it sounds, I can imagine Jordan beating Yo 3-0 right now more than Nikov can. Especially because, as I said, the game plan is what is really there for Admiral Yi. And we know that when it comes to designing game plan, GL and Suomi are by far the best teams in that. It's full crossbows now, but full Arbalest. If you get all the defense upgrades for these Arbs, they will just beat that easily. And you see that Sunjata is just getting pushed into the corner. Alternative is that you will just mix in elite skirms, and that should be good to go as well. I don't like this obsession with the champions, though. Champions don't do much against Commander and crossbows.
Do we think this is your losing to Jordan?
AK97, thank you so much for the resub, I appreciate that. I think yes. It would be a surprise, but I feel like this isn't clean enough to be Viper, but the game plan seems to be GL-like, and I think this is not... I know it's not Taro, because I have a candidate for Taro already, and it's very unlikely to be Doubt as well, because I also have a candidate for Doubt. So... numbers are now not really there for Admiral Yi, and part of that comes from the fact that he actually is very late with the Archer armor. So the Arbalest are technically supposed to be the crossbows, but these crossbows, they do 8 damage, you subtract 2 out of that, so they do 6 damage per hit to the Arbs. The Arbs will have 10 damage against 4 pierce armor, so that's 6 damage as well. Slightly higher HP for the Arbs, but at the end, that just means that the Arbalests aren't really winning against the crossbows, but once you get the defense upgrades, once you mix in some skirms, that's gonna be a massive advantage. Over there, Sunjata calls the GG, and with that, Admiral Yi takes down Sunjata in game number 3 as well, and the first game was definitely the closest. The second game was a stomp by Admiral Yi, and the third game, it wasn't a complete stomp, but it is like Admiral Yi was always making the right moves. His decision making was really sharp. So sending the Halberdiers here, having the outposts here, then moving into the middle to take the gold mines here with the keeps. He was always able to pressure the opponent's docks as well. So really, all of his moves made a lot of sense, and that helped him secure game number 3 as well over here. And it's interesting that this is a 2 hours 20-ish minute series already. And we have a 3-0 stomp right now. So with that, we are actually going to take a look at the drafts. And final hope for Sunjata, it's Bay. If Sunjata doesn't win Bay, he's in big trouble. And I looked at this matchup and I said, okay, there is Quarry. Finally, we're going to see a Quarry game. But we might not see Quarry because currently Admiral Yi is just beating his opponent in every way possible. Persians are not gone. If it's Bay, it is in between Byzantines and Mongols versus probably Malay in this one. So let's see. Indeed, we already have game number 4. So apparently Robo is pushing in here. And it looks like it's actually going to be bypass. So here is the deal. That's something I want to clarify. I didn't know there is preset maps. In previous Hidden Cups, there were certain maps that were preset. And game number 4 was preset to be bypass, and game number 7 was preset to be mudflow. So I assume that not all home maps will be used. And because game number 4 is preset, we're going to play bypass. I didn't know about the information up until 2 minutes ago. This wasn't really published that much. So indeed, we're going to bypass, which actually changes the evaluation of the draft. And it looks like we're actually going to have Malay being used in here. So we are going to bypass. This is actually even worse in this case for Sunjata, because instead of going for his own home map, he goes to kind of a neutral map. In previous Hidden Cups, we had neutral maps being involved. Wasn't really a surprise. So, in fact, I remember that in Hidden Cup 3, we had slopes being played in every series. And it was so frustrating because slopes back then was always an Indian mirror or an Indian versus Mongol matchup. So, we had slopes as a preset map. I hope that there will be a preset Quarry map as well. Maybe in the finals, because I assume that the two semifinals have the same structure. Or it might be just the fact that, you know, game number 4 and 7 are the leftover maps that weren't drafted, because every other map was drafted, and I would think the idea is that the preset maps will be the ones that weren't drafted. With that being said, Admiral Yi is actually walling this one off early, and this once again confirms this is a GL member. We have seen multiple players trying to do this. This strategy is definitely something that the Gamer Legion members discussed between each other. I think there was like 3 or 4 people that tried this exact same move, and both of those were, or all of those, are likely to be GM members. With that being said, Admiral Yi is going to be playing right side Malay in red. Left side is going to be Byzantines for Sunjata in blue. So the two civilizations with the good Arbalest and Bombard can play. The two civs are very similar, but I like Byzantines' versatility a little bit more. Is the reveal scheduled before or after the final? Obviously after the final. So they will be playing with hidden identities in the final as well. Every reveal will be made after the grand finals. So with that, we are gonna have the Rhino coming in here, and Admiral Yi grabbing that for first. He didn't push in a single deer just yet, but he's not really in the rush either. Neither is Sunjata, who did push in 1 deer, but then actually moves out to do some scouting. So what this play gives you, if you're Admiral Yi, is a chance to just say, okay, whatever, I'm going to be able to play safe. You are not exposed to free aggression, which is extremely important against Byzantines, because Byzantines can actually push you through the middle with towers, so you have to be careful about this. So I like this first layer of wall because this alerts you if your opponent wants to push you from the middle. And you also build houses behind, just like Admiral Yi is doing, to make sure that even if you get pushed, you have a strong wall over here. With that being said, I think a fast castle is legitimate here for Admiral Yi, and if you have a strong wall in the middle, you can just play this game just like Hideout. Alternative is that you actually gamble on a fast imp with Malay. That would be a very, very big gamble, but I feel like this map could actually justify a Malay fast imp attempt with Arbalest and Bombard Cannon. That could be very, very devastating. It's a huge gamble, but you might actually catch your opponent off guard with that really well. So with that, we'll have the second Ostrich coming in right now for Admiral Yi. He hasn't had the single farm just yet, and that makes me wonder if he's actually going for fast castle, because with Malay, you definitely have to add farms in Dark Age, or even for fast castle over here. I have to say that Bypass is an interesting map, but I actually want to talk about this a little bit while we have this sort of slower escalating Dark Age. I looked at all the maps in a map pool, and I feel like the biggest problem of these is that I like the concept that some of the maps in the main event were not used in the qualifiers. The idea behind that is that you want to have some maps that the players aren't really... Well, they are prepared for them, but it's not like players will be able to get ideas from the qualifiers, right? So these new maps, the players had to figure out strategies for the event themselves. Whereas the maps in the qualifiers, you could see what was happening. A typical example is Portuguese and Feitorias, very frequent on islands. Nowadays, when we see islands, we often see Portuguese as a civilization, always adding Feitorias in early Imperial Age. That's something that wasn't really done before the qualifiers. Someone did in the qualies, and people are now trying to sort of copy that as well. So the idea of having new maps in here, as we have a relatively fast feudal here for Admiral Yi, but that is most likely just for feudal age boom and then going to castle age. You see that Malay do that quite frequently, because even if they click up to castle age later, which is likely when you do a feudal age boom, they will reach castle age at the same time as their opponent is. Opponent is doing a 24 plus 2 fast castle over here, no surprise about that. So that is the positive of the new maps, that players will have to figure out strategies for them themselves. The drawback of the new maps, though, is that we don't see a lot of them. Like, we haven't seen a single quarry game. We have seen quite a lot of Mudflow. We have seen some Bypass. And we have seen some Cup. And what is the final map? I always forget. Cup, Quarry, Bypass, Mudflow, and, oh yeah, High Tides. We have seen some High Tides games. But especially Quarry, we just don't see a lot of games. Even if you take a look at Bypass, we can check out how many times Bypass were picked. Bypass were actually played 4 times, for example. So the problem here is that it would be cool to see more games of these new maps, because I'm curious how they actually play this out. This is why I am a little bit disappointed that we only have these for the main event, because I would definitely be interested in more games on these maps. With that, Market Blacksmith upcoming in here for Sunjata. We are going to have villagers being added to gold for Admiral Yi. Sunjata will click up to Castle Age a little bit earlier, but as I said, the Malay player is able to catch up. And if you look at the resources, and if you look at the upgrades, that's what matters. He has gotten Double Bidax and Horse Color for quite a while now, so all of his farms were with Horse Color, and he has been having Double Bidax for a while. That is the reason why Malay are so strong here, because you're just able to establish a much stronger eco. This is basically comparable to a fast castle, but you're able to establish a much stronger eco. The first land that hit was from Admiral Yi over here. Sunjata takes the hill. And now we're gonna have a scout fight over here once again. HP advantage on the side of Admiral He. So, for now, it looks like Admiral Yi wants to chase that scout down. Sunjata wants to take the hill, and he's going to try and save that scout over there. Look at that poke and probe from the players. Everybody's just waiting for the opportunity. Sunjata is waiting for Admiral Yi's scout to leave, and Admiral Yi is waiting for Sunjata to leave that hill. This is super cute. First hit on the side of Sunjata, but I think there was also a downhill's hit. Nope, there wasn't. Sunjata actually manages to grab the HP advantage over here. That was a beautifully executed move over there. I feel like Admiral Yi wanted to be a little bit greedy, and now Sunjata just disengaging upon seeing his opponent falling back into his own base. So it looks like we're gonna have a Barracks coming in. So we will see, I would think, a stable, because as things stand, it seems like it's gonna be a long game, and we'll actually have Relic Collection coming in. Look at this TC spot. There were a couple of players attempting TCs on the outside. It makes a lot of sense, because in early Castle Age you will have 9 Voyagers on food. That's not enough to keep 3 TCs working. But what you can do is send out Voyagers over here. They already gathered some food by themselves, by the way. And start taking the hunt, starting the berries, which helps quite a lot in your food eco, and helps you make Voyagers in early Castle Age. So as you see, Voyagers being added to hunt over here. We will have 2 TCs coming in for Admiral Yi. And it seems like this is going to be a mixture of an aggressive Castle Age play with Monks and Siege and a Boom. Obviously, your Boom is going to be a little bit weaker than the Byzantine player's Boom here, but you already have a 4 Voyagers lead thanks to the fact that you're in melee, and you also have a good eco upgrades, and even a 3rd TC. So I feel like you're actually going to be in a better spot overall. The players can't learn from each other's to react to that comment, so it's not like Sunjata was reacting or doing the same town center on the outside strategy as another player yesterday. And the reason why is because they have already played these series by the time they are playing the semifinals. So the only time that they see these strategies is when they are being streamed, which means right now, but these series have already been played, so they can't learn from each other. That's the point of casting all of them at the same time. They can only use what they have learned when they were watching the streams in the grand finals, because in the grand finals they will be playing live, and that's gonna be after the 2 semifinals. With that, we are gonna have 3 TC play over here for Admiral Yi. Mangano and Monks are coming in right now. Once again, Admiral Yi is just chill collecting relics here, and he apparently made a scout as well, trying to harass this Voyager a tiny bit. We're gonna have an outpost, and this is the moment where Admiral Yi is going to realize, hey, my opponent is here on the outside. And that's true, though. I forgot about that. That Sunjata actually played against Pizarro in the previous round, and Pizarro was the one that went for the outside TC. So indeed, Sunjata was able to see what his opponent did. There's an outpost coming in here, and this outpost is going to see a Mangano rolling forward. The relic positions are always preset on this map, so 1 in each corner and 1 in the middle, which should guarantee 3 relics right now for Admiral Yi, because he can pick this one up, brings in a Mangano, starts harassing the farmers over there. Do the finalists know who their enemy is for preparation, or do they really know once the final starts? I have no idea. Like, I would probably say they don't know who they're up against, but that's not 100% sure information.
Impero?
With that, we will have a Spearman poking down this outpost over here, and a 4 TC even for Admiral Yi. He has a 3 villagers lead right now, and he's mangoing down that town center. This forces a mangonel from his opponent, but remember that Redemption Monks can always be a thing for our melee player. For now, it's just a bit of an aggression, so that it's not just booming. But scout coming around, and I like that one scout being added by Admiral Yi. Wait, that's just his original scout being healed up, I'm just noticing. He made a barracks, and I thought he's actually adding a stable as well to collect relics with the help of scouts, but apparently he didn't actually do that. He just went for a monk and healed up his scout over here. Now, that being said, look at that Imperial Age time for Sunjata. The cheaper Byzantine Imperial is paying off here, and it's not like Admiral Yi is anywhere close. That being said, one of the things I love about melee is that you can always react to the opponent very fast. So when Admiral Yi sees that his opponent is an Imperial, he can click up himself, and he's gonna be there in 1:30 or 2 minutes or so. And that's a big advantage if you think about that. In comparison to other civilizations that need like 3 minutes to go up into Imperial, so their reaction is much slower. It looks like it's gonna be an Arbalest Bombard Cannon push from this side, from Sunjata. So he's going to ignore the middle most likely. There is potentially a castle being prepared by Admiral Yi. We'll see where he's dropping it. Technically, it's not impossible he will attempt to drop it over here, being unaware of this one, and skirmishers. Stone Wall's now coming in for Admiral Yi. I think he starts to realize that he could be in trouble. So it's gonna be Arbalest. So the faster Imperial Arbalest play, but the thing is that, look at this. Sunjata is going to be up to Imperial in 1 minute, but he doesn't have a single crossbowman out on the field. And he's behind by 12 villagers. That's the problem that he's facing, and by the time he actually gets reasonable crossbow numbers, I think his opponent will realize that, oh shoot, I'm getting beaten to Imperial here, and I'm just gonna go into Imp him myself. That being said, still, there is a window, there's definitely a window for Admiral, or for Sunjata to actually push this one. Left side will be stonewalled off, as Admiral Yi once again is going for all the relics. That will be relic number 4 already for him. Botkin just now in. And this is the moment where, indeed, Admiral Yi realizes that, hey, I'm beaten to Imperial, but look at that fast melee reaction. That is a life-saving thing right now. If this was any other civilization, I think 3 minutes of Imp actually is enough to start causing insane damage if you're Sunjata. That being said, Sunjata is definitely late with the crossbows, because you see that he's just getting bracer, no chemistry, so yeah, he's an Imperial, but he doesn't really have the army numbers. He's getting chemistry just now for bombard cannons, but as I said, by the time there is actually a reasonable amount of Arbalests, his opponent is also gonna be up to Imperial, with no army though, which is a bit of a concern for Admiral Yi, but Admiral Yi is sitting on 20 villagers lead with what actually is 4 relics as well. This monk could actually convert the villager and stop this wall. One villager over here in the middle will actually get picked off by the castle. And now it's going to be ranges. Some of them might actually go denied. That's a little bit sloppy. In fact, it's very sloppy from Admiral Yi, who is going for a lead skirm for now. Oh my goodness, please don't tell me he's going to do Elite Skirm War once again in post-Imperial, because I'm gonna scream if that's the case. Now Mangonel comes in to deal with the crossbows here. Crossbows not reacting just yet. Get a big shot on top of their head. And another big shot pretty much levels all of those crossbows. This is the time where you want to get those ranges up though, because otherwise you're gonna be in trouble. Ballistics, Archer Armor coming in just now, Elite Skirm in for Admiral Yi. Admiral Yi also isn't really prepared to make army here in Imperial, so the thing is that neither of these players actually were well prepared for Imperial Age here. Both of them were just booming. But yeah, the problem here that you're facing with melee is that you are doing Elite Skirm against Byzantines. Byzantine Elite Skirm is better. Byzantines will actually be able to stop your Arbalest with their Elite Skirm. You can't make Karambits, and even, like, if it's Skirm versus Skirm, what Admiral Yi could do is force Levy Swordsman, which is fine. But against Force Levy Swordsman, Catapract is the answer from Byzantines. So Byzantines have an answer to everything that Admiral Yi can bring in right now. +2 defense coming in right now. Bracer or the in, and chemistry is on the way too. So it's gonna be elite scrims for now, which slows down this army quite a bit, as crossbow being teched into as well by Admiral Yi. The walls on the left side actually went up, which is important, but there is a villager that actually managed to get through. So there will be ranges coming in on the left side. This will be spotted by Admiral Yi though, because he's moving out for this gold mine, so he will see that one happening to him. Elite scrims right now just poke and probe as Sunjata is trying to take down that range. We shouldn't underestimate the fact that Admiral Yi has a 15 villagers lead, but I feel like this position is actually much better for Sunjata. Unit composition wise and overall, he's already prepared to fight this one, and actually there's a Karambit warrior here from Admiral Yi to take that villager down. Funnily enough, the villager was actually competitive against the Karambit warrior. So, villager almost won the fight over there. Here comes the other fight though. Ring Archer armor coming in just now. Ring Archer is already in for those elite skirms. Ballistics just now in as well. The thing is that you can definitely go for Force Levy Swordsman, however, because it is much easier to overrun your opponent that way than it is to mass Catapracts. So Catapracts would be a very tough situation, and it would be quite challenging to get to a reasonable amount of Catapracts for Sunjata. So in this situation, if it turns into a skirm versus skirm war, Force Levy Swordsman is still something that you could consider for the sake of just saying, okay, my opponent is gonna take forever to tech into Catapracts. That being said, this corner is gonna be castled by Sunjata in order to be able to deny that gold mine from his opponent. Big bombard cannon shot could be coming in here, and it looks like Sunjata isn't really reacting to this one, loses one bombard cannon in the process, as another castle is up here. This castle is a bit of a doubt castle here, but not really a big deal right now for Admiral. What matters is that he gets the castle up, and he's gonna be able to protect his villagers. Over here, loses a couple. He actually lost 11 villagers in this game and only killed one, so that's far from ideal. And needless to say is the fact that Sunjata is not going to give up easily on this one. Byzantine Thresh is something that you can spam forever, and this is a decider game technically. So Sunjata is going to play this one for 5 hours if he needs to. I am 100% sure about that one, and I feel like I'm not sure how Admiral Yi is going to finish this game. Like, one thing that you could consider honestly is making a couple of orbs and pushing through the middle, because that's not something that Sunjata is doing. And if you make 10 orbs and 2 bombard cannons, you can actually start pushing the opponent's eco and suddenly cripple the opponent's wood income or stone income. The left side is already walled off, and this building is gonna go down, so it doesn't really matter. The fight is gonna be on the right side, and it looks like Admiral Yi has learned from the mistakes of the past, and now he's mixing in light cav. We're going to see melee light cav, which is I think tied for the second worst light cav in the game. Melee light cav doesn't even have +2 defense. It is awful. It is genuinely an awful light cav. But I mean, light cav is always a thing, and I have a bit of a deja vu in this one. At least he realizes in this time that you're never gonna win a skirm war against Byzantines. What I would love to see though is, even if you don't stop making army here, you are floating 1400 gold, make 10-15 orbs and push through the middle with 2 bombard cannons and orbs, because I feel like if Admiral Yi isn't actually taking the initiative and start pushing through the middle, he's gonna be in a tough situation, because as much as Admiral Yi was winning the fights in the previous games, I feel like even though Admiral Yi is not completely dead, but he will be dead if this continues at this pace. So let's see. There's a couple of stables, and it's battle elephants actually. Malay elephants are always scary, but Byzantines have cheap halberdiers, and there's Catapracts, and Catapracts are also a decent idea here against pure skirmisher play of the opponent. Nice move, by the way, from Sunjata. Actually sending the skirms here where they're outside of the range of the castle, which means that they can just keep killing villagers. 17 wheels killed to 1, and it looks like Sunjata is not gonna go down this easily. I feel like as good as the previous games were from Admiral Yi, he's getting outplayed really badly over here by his opponent, by every possible measurable statistic. And you also have to add that on Bay, Admiral Yi is not going to have melee available for him anymore. That being said, even if he loses this one, he still has 3 home maps that he can win. 3 home maps is crazy. And one of them is islands, and Admiral Yi has been a beast on islands as well. Range goes down over here, so the left side is super omega secure. The right side is the question. You see that there is halberdiers already being mixed in. Catapracts being mixed in, one random elephant will try to dive in and snipe that trap, but even that is not gonna work. You see, the Pierce armor is so low on these that individually they actually die to skirmishers. Now you have to be careful with the bombard cannons though. Over here, a bit of a dodgeball. Trap goes down. So will, I think, no bombard cannon goes down. For now, nice hit from our red player, and he now moves out with his skirmishers. This is the moment that he has been waiting for. And melee elephants are dirt cheap, so if you actually start sending in a lot of elephants to tank damage, there will be halberdiers out, but they're still far. You see pikeman upgrade just getting tacked into. I think Sun-Jata is waiting for the opportunity to release the Catapracts, but this is a scary flood now, and one thing that you have to consider is that even though these castles have 7000 HP, in order to make Catapracts, you need to have the castles. And if you do not have castles, even Force Levy Swordsman makes quite a lot of sense from our player in red. Now that's actually a big mistake from Admiral Yi though. He overextended really badly, and all the Catapracts will be jumping on top of the bombard cannons. Holy smokes. That could be a game-losing move for Admiral Yi. He's gonna have the elephants in now, but he lost one trap, 2 bombard cannons. He takes down 1 castle though. That's something, and he could still have traps coming in. He definitely needs some reinforcements in terms of traps, because now the elephants are starting to wreak havoc though, and melee elephants are dying relatively easily to arrow fire, but they are still extremely cheap, and on such close maps, melee elephants can always be a thing to account for. There's some random elephants coming on the left as well, and the thing is that elephant skirmisher could still be brutal for Admiral Yi. 73 to 47 army, and are we going to see Sun-Jata going down 4-0 here? He's got bombard cannons. This is still winnable for both players, especially if those bombard cannons land some shots on the skirmishers that are clumped up over there. But if these castles go down, Elephant and Skirmisher will destroy everything. If not Elephant Skirm, then it's gonna be Force Levy Swordsman. I feel like we're getting closer and closer to Force Levy. For Admiral Yi, he's up against Halberdier and Skirmisher. That has to be Force Levy Swordsman. Byzantines have an answer to it, but that requires a castle. And I did mention that Byzantines have an answer to everything that melee can bring in, but it depends on timing. If you actually have good timing with the swordsman, you can actually start flooding those out before Catapracts would actually be mezzed. And then you can just secure a forward position and take down the castles. If you take down the castles, there is no more Catapracts. That's what you have to play for. Bombard Tower coming in here for Sun-Jata. He's actually really willing to secure this corner for himself, as the traps are now taking down the ranges. A castle comes in here for Admiral Yi and pushes those villagers away from the gold. I would like to point out that we do have apparently a ram push on the left side, and I guess this bombard tower push actually is targeting the left and not the right, because the right is now actually falling into the hands of Admiral Yi more and more. Traps are taking on these buildings. If Admiral Yi goes for swordsman right now, I think he wins the game. I genuinely think he's gonna win the game if he actually goes for those. He needs to be careful about the left side though. He's getting ranges up right now for more skirmishers. Whoever Admiral Yi is, he's actually obsessed with skirmishers, because in many games that he has played, we're seeing skirms. And all that you need for Admiral Yi, as I said, is swordsman. But he's not doing it right now, so he wants to get me tilted once again. For now, Elephant Skirm works as well, but I feel like he would be a lot more confident if he had swordsman. Because with swordsman he would melt the halberdiers, he would melt the skirmishers, and the only thing that can kill the Force Levy swordsman is Catapracts. That being said, there is multiple castles here for Sun-Jata, and he's securing a lot of map position. I feel like Admiral Yi once again is just an inch short, and I feel like that being 1 inch short didn't mean his defeat in the first game, but it could have been a game that he lets slip out of his grasp. And I feel like once again this could be a game of attrition, and I'm thinking that Byzantines is one of the best sifs for a game of attrition here, and Sun-Jata is playing better right now than Admiral Yi. In fact, that's all I have been seeing in this set overall, that in general Sun-Jata has been outplaying Admiral Yi in terms of execution and maybe even decision making. The thing is, however, that Admiral Yi was always able to secure some favorable situations for himself with good strategy choice, and his execution was always just enough to finish off Sun-Jata in the individual games. but he was never stomping his opponent. It was always just small things. If you think back to the cross game, for example, being able to get the docks up in time, kill the opponent's fishing eco better, and that was really the difference maker between these two players over there. But he always was pretty much playing from an advantage. Sunjata at 170 population, 192 for Admiral Yi, but here come once again the Catapracts, and there is no answer to Catapracts. This is a bit of a civ win for Sunjata, but once again I feel like this should have been Swordsman a long time ago. This should have... Like, if this was Swordsman a long time ago, you would have been able to secure ground a little bit easier and take down the castles. Now it's too late for Swordsman because there's Catapracts, and Malay don't have an answer to Catapracts. They will try to tech into Halberdier here, but Catapract, Bombard Cannon, Elite Skirm feels impossible to defeat with Malay. You're trying to spam elephants as much as possible, and you have to keep in mind that the left side is also open. I would love to see Admiral Yi trying to just contest the middle with whatever he has. Even if it's just 10 Arblast and 2 Bombard Cannons, that would actually cause a lot of chaos in Sunjata's eco, but I feel like that's the biggest mistake that Admiral Yi made in this game. He never actually was willing to contest the middle at all. They just decided that they will play this just like Hideout. This game is being played currently like Hideout, and slowly but surely Byzantines will grind you down over here, and it looks like Admiral Yi isn't going to 4-0 this one. It's technically winnable for him, but he's definitely on the back foot despite the fact that he has the score lead. I feel like the unit composition is what is problematic for him. That being said, Sunjata has to be careful because should this castle go down over here to a trap, which takes quite a lot of time because, well, it's a Byzantine castle, then his left side would be very, very open, as Admiral Yi knows exactly that keeping that castle alive is just a huge priority. 4 Bombard Cannons come in trying to snipe the traps, and it looks like the castle might stay up. Yeah, the castle stays up. The castle stays up over here, and the other trap could go down as well. Look at the left side. Now it's gonna be a Bombard Cannon finishing off the trap. Still, I feel like Admiral Yi is holding, but he's not actually going anywhere in this game. That's the biggest problem. He still has no answer to the Catapracts, and he's just having a very, 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 very slow and painful death here. He's getting pushed back inch by inch, really. So, the thing is that it's a very slow push, but it starts to become a war of attrition, and the war of attrition is genuinely and generally won by Byzantines. Malay elephants are nice, but they won't hold forever against halberdiers, so that's sort of a lie. If you think that Malay elephants alone will beat halberdiers, that's not true. And the thing is that they won't even be cost efficient because these are Byzantine halberdiers, so those are also super cheap. And the real problem is the Catapracts here. So, with that, we are gonna have the Catapracts just jumping around right now, soaking up the arrow fire. This is still winnable for Admiral Yi, but I feel like he needs to take the initiative. By taking the initiative, I mean that he needs 20 Arbs and 2 Bombard Cannons to push through the middle. If he does that, he suddenly cripples Sunjata's eco, or at least a significant portion of it. He tries to get a castle up over here, big fight coming up. Catapracts once again looping around to take down the traps. This castle's already under attack, traps going for the Bombard Cannons over here. Bombard Cannons do go down, as it looks like Admiral Yi is getting this castle up over here, and the elephant numbers seem to be sufficient. 74 army against 60, but if that castle goes down, there is still more for Sunjata, but every castle that goes down means less Catapracts. And less Catapracts means that you have a better chance with skirmishers, you have a better chance with swordsmen. Just bring in the 4th levy swordsman, man. That would be a so good move in this situation. Now there's 2 traps firing over here for Sunjata, so I'm not sure how long that castle is going to stay up, but the numbers of Admiral Yi are just not going down. He only has 5 on gold though, and I feel like soon the flood of elephants will stop. This castle goes down, sure, but if he isn't able to make sure that this castle stays up, he's not gonna have reliable gold income. And look at the left side, Rams are coming in, and really, once again, I feel like Admiral is not actually deserving this win. 4th levy swordsman could have been a thing long time ago. I know there's Catapracts on the field, but as I said, that's a timing-based thing, because it is much easier to get to like 50 4th level swordsmen and just absolutely tear apart the halberdiers and the skirmishers than it is to get to like 20 cavalry or 20 cataphracts that actually beat them. Right now, you see Admiral Yi is desperate for gold, selling a lot of gold, and he's gonna lose that castle over there. And more important, left side is going to collapse. I think Admiral Yi is out of this one. His opponent has, I think, a bit more gold, but even if it's not about the gold, I mean, it's Byzantines, man. They don't need gold. Bit of a civ win, I believe, for Sunjata, but I also think that he deserved this game a lot better, because he used his civilization way better than Admiral Yi once again. Admiral Yi is just obsessed with skirmishers right now, and like, as I said, this is an insanely slow and painful that this might drag out to be 1.5 hours once again, but every moment I'm looking at this game, unless there is a game-changing counterattack somewhere from Admiral Yi, it's not gonna happen, and this is the things that I think that mean that Sunjata deserved this. The little things that, okay, I'm going to harass my opponent's food income in the middle with a bombard tower. Small things, but these all add up to form the grand picture. Finally, chainmail, as a Byzantine cavalry gallops into the field. Maybe it is Forced Levy now. And Forced Levy could still save the day, but he's up against 3 castles, so that's quite a lot of cataphracts. Halberdier, Forced Levy swordsman might still be enough to edge this one out, but those swordsmen have to come in the next 1 minute or so. Siege ram already on the way for Sunjata. The score is still extremely close between the two players, and I don't know what that scale mail was for, but I don't see anything else coming out, to be honest. No infantry whatsoever. So, as I said, plate mail now in. You will probably use this castle to research Forced Levy. And here you're gonna have another castle attempted by Sunjata. It's an ambitious castle, but once again, he's pushing forward inch by inch, bombard towers securing a lot of ground as well. Siege rams will soak up a lot of arrow fire as well, so you will manually have to target those skirmishers in here. But I'm not sure if this castle is going up, to be honest, because there's a lot of skirmishers here from red, and he can just send 20 skirms to the left and stop that castle. He's not doing it right now, though. He can't afford to allow that castle up. I think if this castle goes up, this game is over. And it looks like red is not focusing here. Or he's not stopping that castle. Did I mention that you don't want to play skirmisher versus skirmisher? And that's the wrong castle to make Forced Levy on as well. You wanted to make this castle, because that's an extremely important upgrade for you right now. And I feel like in the first game, Sunjata wasn't punished for, or Admiral Yi wasn't punished for being super late with the light cavalry. He's going to be punished for messing up the timings right now. Because, you see, he's just attacking the longswordman. Forced Levy swordsman should have been a thing 20 minutes ago in this game. Because he needed to avoid having his opponent with 5 castles or so. And, like, this is a final desperation effort. And this should have been the unit long time ago. He loses the castle here. As I said, it's a very slow and painful death that is a deserved death, I believe, here for Admiral Yi, because he didn't use his civilization as good as it was possible to be used. Whereas Sunjata has used his civ the best as it was possible. There is going to be quite a lot of swordsmen coming out, but as I said, you see that Sunjata is reinforcing his castles with hoardings, and I did mention that Byzantines have an answer to everything that Malay can bring in, but Forced Levy is a timing-based thing. If you can actually get to early swordsmen before your opponent has like 6 castles to spam Cataphract from, you can actually win the game with that. But that didn't happen, and by the time it's too late. It's too late now. You will have the swordsman, but Cataphract will just laugh at it, and your opponent has 5 castles. So the Cataphracts will just tear you apart. This game is over, and a well-deserved win for Sunjata and a well-deserved loss for Admiral Yi. I feel like in this game, Admiral Yi was punished for all the mistakes that he has done in the previous games, especially the Arabia game. I feel like this is the way that this is fair. Both of these actually went deep into post-Imperial. This didn't go that deep. In the first game, Admiral Yi wasn't punished for making some sloppy decisions, and in post-Imp I totally agree that the Vikings are also better than the Mayans. So there was a bit of a civ advantage imposed him for Admiral Yi in the Arabia game. Here there's a bit of a civ advantage for Sunjata. So I guess the two very, very long games seem to be an even score. But there is no win condition now for Admiral Yi. He never was... Not a single moment in this game he was proactive. He was just booming on 4TCs, and then he got caught off guard by an early Imperial of the opponent, and never actually pushed the middle or so. And I'm not sure, this might even be an attempted Onager cut, or just Voyagers cutting through and then send some Catapracts in. But I mean, once the Catapracts are in and these guys are actually having very, very decent upgrades, in fact those are fully upgraded elite Catapracts, they just absolutely wrecked infantry. Look at that. For a Catapract, it takes 2 hits to kill a swordsman. That being said, as I said, the only thing that could be problematic for Catapracts is production compared to the swordsman. But, no. I did mention, if you have a swordsman at the right place at the right time, they will actually tear apart Byzantines. But if you are too late to them, then the Catapracts will just overrun you, and that's exactly what we're seeing. No answer for the Catapracts currently. Catapract Skirmisher beats everything that Admiral Yi has. And Admiral Yi taps out saying, GG, well played. Sunjata indeed well played in this one. And I feel like, as I said, as much as Admiral Yi got away with the mistakes that he did in the first game and won it, he didn't manage to get away with the mistakes that he did in this game and ends up losing the first one. So Sunjata isn't getting 4-0'd, but still, you have to consider that it's going to be match point. So unless Sunjata is legitimately able to reverse sweep this game, or this series, it's going to be insanely hard for him. That being said, it looks like Robo actually wants to push the games as fast as possible, probably because this is still, after 3 hours of casting, this is still the first semifinals, and there's a second semifinals and the grand finals today as well. So, without further ado, we will jump into the next game, which is the first home map of Admiral Yi. Since game number... hello? Capture Age? That's awkward. Okay, Capture Age apparently needed some time. And we're going to quarry the first map in... or first time we're actually seeing quarry in this entire tournament. I've only seen one test game on it in a show match or something. I think Nili played in versus Kasva on this map in a show match. So the thing is that because game number 7 is a preset map on Mudflow, I would think... By the way, Sunjata won Mudflow against Gonzalo Pizarro in the previous round. It was a long and lengthy game, so I don't think that Admiral Yi wants to go and get to game number 7, because I feel like game number 7 would be on the side of Sunjata. But there is still 2 home maps to select out of the 3 for Admiral Yi. So both players selected 3 home maps, but they can only use 2 of them. For a total of 4 games, there will be 2 preset games, which is game number 4, as you saw over there on Bypass, and game number 7 on Mudflow. With that being said, Admiral Yi will be playing Britons on the right side in red, left side is going to be Spanish for Sunjata in blue, and I did mention this, I feel like this is a budget Black Forest. If you wall off the middle, it's pretty much going to turn into a boom into Imperial Age and Snowball. Both of these civilizations are reasonable for this, but I feel like I like Britons a little bit more. So, one thing that you have to add is that early wars are not really going to happen that much. Like, I mean Dark Age super fast wars, because the deer is in the middle and you want to push in as much as possible. However, as it was pointed out, the map is always scripted in a way that the berries are on the front. But I still believe, and that's something I said in my map review video, that I feel like this is still an easy fast castle map. Wall off in the middle. You probably make outpost over here just to make sure that your opponent isn't chopping through sneakily. And you just want to make sure that your opponent isn't getting to your side and then it turns into Black Forest. Now the only game I saw, I think there was a sneak attempted here by one player. And this is one of the reasons why I like the move of Sunjata here. You actually have to wall off these sides very, very early. And the reason why is because if you do that, then your opponent cannot actually sneak a Voyager through. And sneaking a Voyager through can be an extremely good strategy here, just like Black Forest. This is just like Black Forest, as I said. It actually reminds me a little bit to Amazon Tunnel as well, which is a new map that was added to the map pool not too long ago. There is apparently going to be a pre-meal Drush coming in from our red player. We already have a meal up for Sunjata. The meta is definitely not figured out for this map. As I said, this is the first time that you're actually seeing this map being played in the tournament. It wasn't played in the qualifiers, it was played in like 1 or 2 show match, to be honest. To be honest, I did mention that this is probably my favorite map. If I had to choose one map to play from the Hidden Cup 4 map pool, I would choose this one. I like this. It has some interesting aspects with potential to chop through here. It's a more defendable map, which is something I like. And indeed, this is exactly what I would do as well as Admiral Yi. Just void yourself off and play it just like Black Forest. The thing is that this is the first home map for Admiral Yi, and he definitely has a good game plan for this one planned, I believe. He is coming in with what's gonna be a Drush FC. He could just play Naked FC as well. Interesting is the fact that the woodland for Sunjata will be over here, closer to his TC and not here on the outside, whereas Admiral Yi is gonna drop the woodline over here on the outside. And now the militias will be coming in. One of the things that you can accomplish with the militias is actually harass those berries. The other thing is potentially killing leftover hunt from your opponent, if there is any. It looks like it's only a 2 militia drush though for Admiral Yi, so he starts to realize, okay, there's not much I can do here. And I guess he's just gonna play for denying the berries, because every bit of an opportunity to deny berries actually helps. And it looks like this is going to be Man-at-Arms Towers from Sunjata. That's the game plan over here for him. Indeed, 2 Voyagers being sent to gold. And one of the things that you can do with Spanish, indeed, here is a tower rush. I think that was the game plan for the whole time for Admiral Yi, that's why he picked Spanish. And he probably knows that against Britons, that's his best bet as well. But this is why I said, I think in the map intro video, I said that this map, you roll early, and then you do fast feudal into eco upgrades and then castle age, instead of a fast castle. So you see it's 22 Voyagers up for Admiral Yi. He won't actually have... It looks like it's a Drush Archers play. Interesting that he's going Drush Archers. I feel like this is something where you can probably do an FC, but I feel like this is a Drush into a couple of Archers just to make sure that we don't die to the Man-at-Arms Towers type of a build order. That's my favorite build. But you get the idea. He's probably doing a Drush Archers here, because it is still better to go Drush Archers, reinforce these votes. He's actually adding a 3rd militia, and I would think that he might even go for a Man-at-Arms upgrade right now, just so that he can trade Man-at-Arms with the opponent. He's still 50 seconds away from Feudal Age, and it seems like he's gonna have a bit of a trouble with towers coming in. Not really the big deal, and he has actually already assembled his group of Men-at-Arms over here. Men-at-Arms almost in for Sunjata. This is still a good fight for Admiral Yi, who actually went for 4 militias. Sunjata will now try to take this fight, because he's got the Men-at-Arms in 10 seconds. Towers are up, but I think that Admiral Yi's defense here is still alright. Let's see if he goes for a Man-at-Arms upgrade. I think he should, and he should go for defensive tower immediately indeed. Men-at-Arms coming in right now, they're actually going for the hill as well, dragging away the opponent's Men-at-Arms. And it's gonna be 4 Man-at-Arms. There will be a couple of hits by the scout here, but it's still worth it to just run away here, because this means that it's only villagers here. And if it's only villagers here and you have a range, or potentially even add 2 more Men-at-Arms, then you're gonna be able to clean those up. So I feel like distracting the opponent and bringing them all the way out here actually helps quite a bit. And that is going to be a scout going down from Admiral Yi. Wasn't great, but nice micro over there from Sunjata. He's going to trade off the Men-at-Arms, and he will leave with his scout alive. But there is a range, and I think all you need is 2 or 3 archers now for Admiral Yi and another defensive tower. I think this map is very, very well defendable when it comes to defensive towers. Indeed, here comes another defensive tower. And that should pretty much limit Sunjata's ability to get in there. I am not so sure about the defensive tower. You need that 1 tile more to the back, indeed. You just want to make sure that those Voyagers aren't able to get in there. A fast fletching would definitely help out for Admiral Yi, who is having some food issues here, because he was partially denied from his berries. Now we'll jump into the tower, or he might even just go and rush down the tower right now. I think if you're Admiral Yi, or Admiral Yi sneaking the vultures, that was the game plan for him, I believe. This is not something that Sun-Jata sees, but I think what Admiral Yi wants, indeed, look at that. He moved to the north because he wants to avoid that tower seeing the vultures moving to the left. Because the idea is that you sneak these vultures here and you chop through. I told you that this is the map where you can have some very, very nice and interesting game plan. It looks like Sun-Jata is actually going to go full stone walls in the middle for himself, but this is the idea. Will Sun-Jata expect vultures chopping through on the other side? You can't replace these with parasites because these are not straggler trees, so you need a lumber camp and chop through. One of the reasons why I think Celts could be a good civilization on this map is because of the chop through potential. But I think, as I said, the way you play this map, I believe, is that you wall this off in the middle, and then you actually do outpost here, outpost here. You see that Sun-Jata is actually looking for vultures on the other side, and this is actually important. If Admiral Yi was able to kill that scout, it would have been much, much better. I think Sun-Jata might find this chop through attempt in time. 65 on that 3 left. The question is, can he actually react to that in time? He's coming in with the scout, and that means that Yo will know, or well, Sun-Jata will know about this one. Even if he loses the scout, he will hear the attack notification. So he knows this is coming, and he's going to add stone walls. It's the right play, and minor details matter. I think that's obvious. If Sun-Jata's micro in feudal is actually a bit worse, by that I mean that he actually loses his scout in that man-at-arms fight, he wouldn't have been able to see this. And this is extremely important, going for a stone walls. We'll be able to re-wall this, and that means that all the effort that Admiral Yi has put into walling and pushing this is gone. It's GG. Like, he's gonna try making skirmishers, but this might very well be a GG here. If you are Admiral Yi, you honestly start making a range inside here. Like, at this point, Sun-Jata will start making skirms, but if this tower goes up, that skirmisher plays here, and one hole can decide the outcome of a game, and one hole can decide the outcome of a series, to be honest. Because as long as that hole stays up, the archers can keep flooding in, and you already see that a lot of food eco is denied from Sun-Jata. No food eco means no castle age. If you look at the food eco for Admiral Yi, 13 on food already, which means that he's gonna be faster to castle age. That hole stays open, it's gonna be crossbows, it's gonna be a siege workshop, and even though there is going to be an attempted counterattack here with skirmishers, as I said, as long as these towers are up, there is nothing that you can do if you're Sun-Jata. Sun-Jata has to fall back to another stone mine over here, and I guess his best bet is that he's gonna make one big push to push with the skirmishers and then try to rush down these towers with vultures. So if you're Admiral Yi, all you have to assure is that you actually wall these towers in. Because if you do that, you're gonna be good to go. With the market, Sun-Jata could still think about buying himself up, but you see that Admiral Yi is already getting close to clicking up to Castle Age. I feel like if Sun-Jata isn't able to take these towers down by the time Admiral Yi reaches Castle Age, this is gonna be game over. So you could also drop a tower over here to deny that gold mine, and potentially even use the vultures behind to take down these houses, so you actually keep this as open as humanly possible. Very, very limited farming available right now for Sun-Jata. He's going to compensate with taking some deer over here, which is a nice decision, and he can still buy himself up. But the more I'm looking at this, and look at this, there's an outpost here. I would think that if you're Admiral Yi, you should actually start chopping through here as well, just to make sure that your opponent has nowhere to go. Because you chop through here, you even add the gate behind, like it's fine. Add the pass side wall, gate behind, chops through here, and then send 2 archers to the back as well. It looks like market is up, and now Sun-Jata is gonna think about the castle drop. He's got stone, so what he's probably gonna try to go for now is go up to Castle Age and drop a castle. The Castle Age time should be fairly close for the 2 players, as now skirmishers are out here. Counter tower will be attempted. There is fletching for Admiral Yi, but he's not targeting that tower. I don't I think the tower is within range, but the villagers aren't, so that would be a very, very nice tower. Castle age times will be very, very much identical. But Admiral Yi won't be able to push this one with siege because his opponent is gonna go for a castle. So this is stable, which means we're actually going to see knights and mangonels. But I think the right play from Sunjata indeed is just to keep adding villagers to stone. Drop a defensive castle somewhere around, like, the ideal spot would be somewhere around over here, but the hill actually makes that impossible. Still, there will be crossbows. There will be about 9-10 crossbows on the field. For Admiral Yi, one thing that he needs to be careful about is that his opponent could actually go for conquistadors, and this is important as well. You see this stable. If Admiral Yi sees that stable, he knows his opponent is up to castle age, because you are probably not gonna make scouts against archers, so you're most likely to be making that for knights. So from this, Admiral Yi should know that his opponent is up to castle. If you're Admiral Yi, I would also love to see him stonewalling the middle here now, or just adding maybe a double layer palisade here. He actually took down the tower of the Voyager, so with that, that tower is gone now. Castle age almost in for Sunjata. His tournament life is on the line, so he's not going to actually give up on this. And his reaction to these towers was actually very nice, buying a stone, and he will get that castle up in a matter of moments. Here come the Voyagers. Where is that castle being dropped at? And I think the real question is, what is Admiral Yi going to do when he sees that castle? Because I don't think he can stop this. As long as this tower is still up here, the crossbows can't actually stop this. If this tower wasn't here, the crossbows would jump out and pick off the Voyagers on the castle. This castle is going up. So next question now, as we have a low HP scout running around, finding the stone mine, is... oh, that's a nice one though. That's a beautiful one from Admiral. He picks off 3 Villagers in the middle. And we shouldn't underestimate the damage that this is causing to the eco of Sunjata. Now, all the crossbows being taken down here, so I feel like the follow-up wasn't really great for Admiral Yi here. And he needs to be careful, because if conquistadors are coming in, and here come the conquistadors, they could just run past here and start killing villagers. So I think right now, if you're Admiral Yi, you actually start solidifying the defenses on both sides. I like this house wall here. You also need to solidify your defenses in the middle, because conquistadors can get through the middle very, very easily. Still, this is going to be a 1 TC play here, at least for now, even though Sunjata could afford a 2nd TC rather easily. Whereas his opponent is already on 2 TCs, their Siege Workshop, so it looks like it's gonna be Kongs and Mangonels for our blue player. If you are Admiral Yi right now, what you should think about, I believe, is adding 5 more villas on stone. Because if you add 5 more villas on stone, you will have a castle in about 3 minutes or so. So in case things start getting rougher, you can drop a defensive castle here, and or somewhere around over here. And that should limit the amount of damage that conquistadors and potentially mangonels can cause to you. I like this tower here. Admiral Yi is not giving up on denying the stone, and he knows exactly that his opponent's other stone mine is pretty much out. Monk trying to get a conversion on the knights, and it's also a nice move from Admiral Yi trying to avoid the castle fire here. And crossbows are actually pretty decent against conquistadors. Ballistics just now coming in for Admiral Yi. Indeed, adding villagers to stone makes quite a lot of sense here. Against Kongs and Mangonels, you probably want to go for the defensive castle. There is going to be more crossbows coming in back at home, but if the conquistadors go for a full-on counterattack, this could be still troublesome for Admiral Yi. For now, he's going to have to retreat, and he actually revos this one. I don't know why he's chopping through here, though. This guy is also left out of the party. He's like, you left me here, guys. But I think you can actually hide this Voyager. In fact, if you're Admiral Yi, you want to like stonewall these resources in. You want to do as much as you can to like just keep this position alive, because that's going to be annoying for Sunjata no matter what. Knights now diving in on the Mangonel will be unsuccessful sniping it. That knight was converted in the final second but died immediately after to the Kongs. And I completely forgot to look at this part of the map. It is an opening, which means... Oh no! No! There is a gather point from Admiral Yi set somewhere around over here, and the villagers are actually walking through the map. Holy moly. Another TC comes in here for Admiral Yi. He's 9 on stone now. if you patrol with monks, do they auto convert whatever is closest? I don't think you can patrol with monks. Only military units can patrol. Same for Villagers. Over here, Villagers will actually take it down. Guard Tower once again coming in here for our red player. Guard Tower is actually a decent idea as well, because Guard Towers can actually stop these monk pushes just as much as the castles can. So it is free TCs for Sunjata, free TCs as well for Admiral Yi, but Admiral Yi has a 10 Villagers lead, Boso, Horse Color, and Wheelbarrow, whereas his opponent only has Double Bit Axe and Horse Color. Plus, here's a Villager actually repairing this one, and Knight coming in. This is something that Sunjata has to be careful about, because the tower is still standing, and Knight will just now pop out, and it will kill 2 or 3 Villagers. It might not seem like much, but it's always these little details. Not really a big deal, because this tower will actually go down eventually, as apparently Sunjata now plugs the leak over there. Still, as I said, if you're Admiral Yi, you do everything you can to harass your opponent here. By that I mean wall in the Stormman, or you can even start mining it, but you gotta make sure that you actually take it away from the opponent potentially. That could be something as well, because if you control these gold mines and stone mines over here, then you control like 60% of the map compared to the opponent's 40. And that extra gold and stone will be very helpful. You also have your extra gold and stone on this side as well. So basically this is 3/4 of the map. Each of these corners is worth 3 tiles of gold and 3 tiles of stone. If you control 3 corners as opposed to 1 corner from your opponent, then that's already an advantage. Now you don't want to leave that open like that, that's for sure. This is Pokeball, yes. And now will be Villagers added by Sunjata to stone. So if you are Admiral Yi, you think about the defensive castle. You need a defensive castle, because what's gonna happen is that Sunjata will try to castle drop you. You see that he's already opening up the front. He's taking down these walls intentionally, because he's going to attempt a castle drop here. So if you are Admiral Yi, you probably want to delete these farms here, and indeed you can even squeeze in a castle there. But even without, like, if you can squeeze in there, you delete these farms and you actually add the castle there. And if you look at the resources, Admiral Yi, before Heavy Blow, he could have actually thought about clicking up to Imperial. This is going to be a bit of a scary fight here for Yi, but I think it is enough for him to get the castle up. He's got the TC as well. This castle must go up, that's for sure. And I told you that I think it's better off if you go for the defensive castle. And the problem is that now the Conquistadors are running past. The castle does go up though. The Conquistadors will be a little bit annoying, but there isn't really a lot of them anymore, so this is enough for Admiral Yi to hold this one. The Conks will be annoying, but not something that Admiral Yi cannot deal with. And this ram push is going to stall out as well. One thing I would like to add is that Sunjata is still sitting on a lot more food than his opponent is doing so, which means that, as the Conquistadors are getting cleaned up over here in the north, which means that Imperial Age could be something to consider, and whoever gets to Imperial first can get a massive advantage. It's, as I said, same as Black Forest. If you get to him first, you have Trap first, and I think that those resources are looking really good for Admiral or for Sunjata. Admiral Yi feels a little bit lost, and I don't want Admiral Yi to win this game. He doesn't deserve it. Mistakes like this is not something that you can afford. I told you he opened this for the crossbows to move out. I told you that he can't leave that open. He leaves it open. Doesn't deserve the win. And I don't think he's gonna win it, to be honest. I don't think he's actually going to win this one, because he's gonna be far from Imperial, and at this point, Sunjata will be able to reclaim this corner without problems. Admiral Yi never actually... He started to build a gate there when the crossbows crossed. I don't know what he did over here, but he messed it up. Anyways, nice university walls over here, but the Kongs will just keep flooding in here, and that's exactly what you want to avoid. And now Sunjata will actually start launching an attack on the left side. Imperial Age will be coming in for him, and really, mistakes were made from both sides, but I feel like Sunjata is actually playing this one cleaner than Admiral Yi. Admiral Yi is up 3 games, but once again, as I said, in basically all of the games that he has won, he was playing from an advantage. And it seems like if he's unable to carve out an advantage for himself, he's actually getting into trouble. It is already 3.5 hours of casting this, as we now have Battering Ram coming on the other side, Longbows being mixed in, and I think that's the right thing to do now. You finally have to send in your crossbows to Vortisin. I also didn't understand why he actually kept chopping this wood after his initial chop through. I don't think he played this map right. I don't think the stable didn't really make a lot of sense. The defense was very nice from Sunjata, but I feel like if you chop through, you have to do more damage. And he's lucky that he actually even was able to do any damage because his opponent was almost walling him off completely. With that being said, that's a minute advantage for Sunjata into Imperial. And we are going to have a castle being dropped over here. He's gonna start trapping this one down, but winning a trap war against Britain is always tough, especially if there is crossbows harassing the villagers that are trying to get the castle up. I think the castle is gonna go up here. You won't be able to stop this one, but every second it is getting delayed is actually huge. The conquistadors were on the left. Now villagers are being pulled to stonewall that. Second castle out for Admiral Yi, that's the right thing to do. He's adding a barrack, so he's probably expecting the cavalier play from his opponent, and indeed that's the case. Still, as long as, like, cavalier is nice, but this is so much a Britain's map, I believe, or a Celts map, just like Black Forest. You don't need mobility here, you need brute force power. Either like a bunch of rams and halberdiers pushing through, or potentially Arbalest with all the range, and then Britain traps. And there's a second castle coming in. By the way, this castle is being built with one villager. Why are you not pulling two more villas to this one? Also, I did mention that I think that when Admiral Yi had the chance, he should have actually stonewalled in these resources. That would have made life a lot harder for his opponent. In Imperial, House Wall isn't going to be enough though. That's something that is worth talking about as well. Siege Rams will just destroy that very easily. Imperial Age is in as well. And now Halberdier comes in, first trap out. This castle should have long been finished though for Admiral Yi. He wants to build on the, you know, 2 traps or 2 castles worth of trap production thing. In certain instances, I don't understand what Admiral Yi is doing. Why are you making this with one villager? Just take 3 more, and you should have that castle up a long time ago. He's queuing up Warwolf. That's a very early Warwolf. You would be much better off if you just had 3 traps by now. But nope, he's actually gonna go for that. Still, technically he's supposed to have every ingredient to win. But once again, I feel like if Admiral Yi wins this game, it's going to be despite his moves, not thanks to his moves here. He's going to start trapping out the opponent's traps over here with Warwolf. That's definitely possible. There is going to be villagers dispatched to repair, but against Warwolf you don't repair that much. Obviously, whoever loses his castles over here is going to be in huge trouble. If Admiral Yi loses the castles, even just one of them, I feel like he is going to be in extremely big trouble. But luckily for him, he's got Warwolf to save him. Although it's 3 traps firing up hills, 2 traps now firing down hills against them with Warwolf. And you see that they're slowly killing that trap over there, although look at Sunjata keeping that trap alive. That's actually crazy. Once the third one comes in though, that's gonna start turning into a different scenario, and even the Arbs will dive in and pick off the villagers. Arbalest now with 10 range, also some rams pushing in the middle, and I feel like this is the moment where Britons will really show why they are so good on this map. I think Britons and Celts are top 2 civs for this map. It is defendable enough that you hold on until post-Imperial, or at least early Imperial, and that means that slow powerhouse civilizations, namely Celts, Britons, potentially Malay, can be thought about here. Maybe even Cumans could be an interesting one to think about, is going to dominate most of the other civilizations. It looks like we'll have a big ram push here coming in. I like this stone wall from Admiral Yi, and now I think he's doing the right things. There were some scary moments, but I think now he's doing all the right things. He's making halberdiers, he's making arbalest, and against Spanish... Oh, that's a lot of paladins though. That's already paladin for Sunjata, so... Admiral Yi still needs to be careful, because if 30 paladin run into his eco, he could still be in huge trouble. I don't think that he knows about the paladin just yet. He's slowly getting his halberdiers up. No, I think he sees the paladins. He sees the paladins, and he is already getting the halberdiers out. He's got 25 halberdiers out on the field. You have to control this choke point though. Now paladins jumping on top of the opponent. This is the big push that Sunjata has been waiting for. It's a push for the game. It's a push for the game here. because Sunjata is controlling the gold in the middle, which is something that we shouldn't overlook either. And Britons definitely struggle a little bit against the siege ram, but you need those Halberdiers on the front lines right now. This is the big push for the game for Sunjata. If this doesn't work out, I think he lost the game. But once again, Admiral Yi Sun-Shin is actually playing like a 1300 in this specific fight, because the Halberdiers were long idle, and that hurts so much. And if this Paladin push connects, it's gonna be enough. Treb's taking out the castle, and the Halberdiers are not there in enough quantities. Sunjata is selling quite a lot of food over here. This is the fight for the game. If Sunjata fails with this one, this is game over. He won't have the time to remass an army this big once again, especially once the actual upgrades coming for the Halberdiers, which are still absolutely disastrous. Britons is an extremely good defensive civilization though. They can hold positions like this forever. And with Warwolf, they can actually go and snipe Trebs as well. There is still a need for more Halberdiers for Admiral Yi, and also more upgrades. He is definitely having some food issues, only 28 on food. Warwolf Trap taking down one Trap over there. And it seems like the castle is still standing as Sunjata is trying to snipe the Trap over there. Paladins will actually run past, and the idea here is that you distract your opponent as much as possible, buying yourself a bit of a time in the middle. But I don't think that this is going to be a big enough distraction. Admiral Yi is only 100 villagers, so his eco is an absolute junk. And I feel like once again, Sunjata is on the back foot, but I think he would deserve this game a lot more because he's playing cleaner than his opponent, a lot cleaner than his opponent, to be honest. Mistakes left and right for Admiral Yi, but his position is still so good in this one, and the Paladin Flood requires gold, and that gold is soon going to be nowhere to be found for Sunjata. He's starting to lose villagers in the middle as well. Paladins are actually wreaking havoc here, but they will slowly be cleaned up by the Halberdiers. Admiral Yi is still 101 villagers, and now I think I did mention that he needs stone walls, by the way, in the middle. I still believe that. At least now he actually votes some of this off. He cleans up the Paladins, and it is 83 army against 15. I don't really like many moves that Admiral Yi has made. He has made an awful lot of mistakes. Obviously, it's easy to speak from the caster's booth, so you could say that, hey, I would make this many mistakes myself. No, I would make a lot more mistakes because I'm a potato player. But for the highest level of competition, there were a lot of mistakes involved for Admiral Yi. But I think what wins the game for Admiral, or even the series, for Admiral Yi, is that he's able to use better strategies than the opponent. And that's the main difference maker, is the strategy choice. The draft, the game plan. Because execution-wise, Sunjata was always better, but for example, on this map, Britons is one of the best civilization picks, Spanish is a kind of underwhelming civ pick. So, once again, the game plan for Admiral Yi was much more creative. I like the attempt to chop through as well. So, the creativity, the game plan was definitely on the side of our red player for the majority of the games. He predicted Huns, although I might be speaking too soon here, because as I said, one layer of palisades or even fortified walls won't actually stop siege rams pushing through, and that starts to be a thing, and you don't want your sides open like that. That's for sure. Still, the problem that Sunjata will be facing is that he's gonna have no paladins soon. So, he will break through the right side, but he won't have paladins, and his opponent is sitting on endless gold. If he's just going for full skirm, Britons can go for light cav. Britons have no trouble going for light cav. I hope we're going to see that. But it seems it's gonna be Onager instead. That works as well. Onager, Halberdier here works really nicely. Sunjata is losing way too much ground in the middle, and I think all that Admiral Yi needs is a castle in the middle just to solidify his position. Look at this carnage, it's 73 army against 39. So execution seems to be better for Sunjata, but the game plan and the preparation really showed for Admiral Yi. I think to me this is also a confirmation that this has to be a GM member, because this preparation was crazy. He also has similar strategies to many other GM members, but I think that this preparation is something that I have to give a shout out to. So as much as I am bashing Admiral Yi for making hundreds of mistakes, I also have to praise him for being much more prepared for these maps than his opponent is. Still, that's quite a lot of skirmishers out there, and I did mention that, you know, there is nothing that can stop the skirms, and Spanish skirms are fully upgraded, so we're gonna have Yeoman. Yeoman is actually going to add some more range to those Arbs. That also helps, because even though Arbs don't do a lot of damage against the skirmishers, they can pick them off from a long distance. And there's going to be Onagers as well. It's going to be full trash now for Sunjata. Sunjata is sitting on 3 relics though. That's something that we shouldn't overlook. But as long as his opponent has the gold in the middle, I don't see this one working out for Admiral Yi. A little bit sloppy that he's actually leaving that Onager alone, but not nice ground attack. And now the Light Cav. Light Cav will just be torn apart here. Big Onager shot coming in here as well. They're trying to go for the traps, but Arbs help so much at just cleaning this up. And look at this. I think that it was a trade of like 20 Light Cav to 2 or 3 Pikemen. Onager's actually getting some nice hits in. I think, once again, I'm saying that Admiral Yi needs Light Cav here himself. Because Onagers are nice, but it's much harder for Sunjata to deal with Light Cav right now than it is to deal with Onagers. He's got Bombard Cannons against Onagers. You also should keep in mind that you don't want to waste your gold that much, so it's easier to deal with the skirmishers with Light Cav, I believe. Once again, a siege ram push will be attempted on the right side, something that we have to pay attention to. The Bombard Cannon took down the Onager, and now the ram tries again, but Onager once again will actually finish that off. Still double the army for Admiral Yi, and slowly but surely he's carving out an advantage here for himself, and really, he really get me tilted with some of the mistakes that he has done. It's not just execution based, it's a lot of decision making sloppiness as well. But his preparation for a tournament was way better than Sunjata's preparation. So Sunjata went for the classical hunt pick on cross. Berber was sort of a counter pick to that, and the game plan there for Admiral Yi was very good. Britons, the game plan, the civilization was way better for this map, I believe, for Admiral Yi. The Japanese draft as well, that he managed to pick Japanese for himself in the draft. And secure high tide with that was also very nice, but I think that we're just waiting. It seems more and more that this is not a matter of who, it's a matter of when, to be honest, because the Briton snowball is starting to reach this position here in the middle and just will cut the opponent's eco to half. The eco is still better, by the way, for Sunjata, but he's housed at 150 population. It's Warwolf traps, Yeoman Arbs, fully upgraded Halberdiers and Onagers. Just that there's no stopping the Briton push, and I feel like when I looked at this map, I told you this is a budget Black Forest, and that means that saves that are good on Black Forest, Celts, Britons, are actually extremely reasonable for this one, and I feel like I just see no win condition now for Sunjata. He's behind by 5,000 score, and I don't think that, like, this time this is not gonna go down to attrition. There is no way it goes down to that. Because there's just no army for Sunjata, and he's losing building after building. He's going to try and keep that castle up as long as possible, but it's 3 traps shelling it, and he's still massively outnumbered in terms of army numbers. And so, yeah, I think as a conclusion, I think this debate was between Viper and Jordan for Admiral Yi, but I feel like there were so many sloppy decision makings from Admiral Yi that this feels as there was a Redemption Monk conversion on that Onager, that it would be very awkward if this was Viper. This feels more like a Jordan that comes with a very good game plan, very well prepared, and when he isn't really panicking, he's actually doing the right things, but in certain moments his hands are a little bit shakier, and that actually starts showing in the moves that he's making. Actually, he thought that he finished off the castle, but that's not right. He needs like 2 more rocks to do that. Military for Sunjata is increasing, but I mean, where is this game going? Still, once again, okay, now Light Cav being mixed in earlier, so I think he learned from his mistakes in the Arabia game, and he knows that, okay, it's nice that I have all the gold in the middle, but what if I actually start adding Light Cav so I don't waste all my gold on Onagers? And Onagers are much easier to kill with Light Cav than Light Cav is. Do we have Tati for some other player? Yes, I have 99% Tati on another player. That's already... I'm not going to say names because I kind of want these to be spoiler-free. So you might have noticed that I'm trying to avoid saying player identities in the middle of the series. I'm only saying that between the series, which are not actually going into YouTube VOD. So the thing is that while Sunjata is able to use Hussars or Redemption Monks to kill Onagers that are meant to destroy the skirmishers, There is nothing that Sunjata has right now against Light Cav. He can use his own Light Cav, that's it. So, I think all we're waiting for Admiral Yi. By the way, he's still 160 population, so he could have added like 10 more Voyagers for himself. But all we are waiting for him right now is 20 Light Cav to run in the eco. I think that's the thing that he needs to do. This game is still not over. As I said, Sunjata is going to fight to the end here. Just like as I said on Bypass, this is his tournament life on the line. He wants to win this one. And let's be honest, it's not a coincidence that Admiral Yi is winning this series. It's not just luck. This was very good game plan, very well prepared player. As I said, he execution-wise was weaker than Sunjata, but one thing I really appreciate is when players prepare for tournaments, and you could see the preparation for Admiral Yi. Every move that he made in terms of drafting, civilization selection, and strategy choice, especially early games, made a lot of sense. I think what Admiral Yi needs to improve on, though, is the late game decision making. So, it's full skirms right now. There will be halberdiers mixed in, but the thing is that onagers can still be a thing for Admiral Yi. He still needs to be careful because he's behind in relics, but now it should be champion, honestly. It should be champion now because it's skirmisher and it is halberdier, so you're just mixing your champion as Britons, I believe. Siege Ram will actually be taken down here before it reaches the Trebs. Like, one of the reasons why I was actually surprised to see this map in the map pool was that this is, as I said, the budget Black Forest, and there is a reason why players do not like playing Black Forest, and the main reason is, believe it or not, it's because it can be a 5-hour long game. And the reason why is because it's just so hard to finish off the opponent, and once again, Admiral Yi will be a little bit obsessed with his skirmishers. In that case, that's actually sort of fine, but if it is a skirmisher war, as Warwolf traps will show their power now, indeed they can actually shoot at units, and they actually are pretty decent at doing that. So you have to be careful with those arts, and as I said, it's not infinite gold in the middle. This is not like Golden Pit or Gold Rush where you have like, I don't know, 200,000 gold in the middle. This is like a couple thousand, around 10k or so. Still, I mean, Light Cav Arbalast should be winning this one for Admiral Yi. He's slowly taking down buildings, which matters a lot as well. 5 Trebs as well. But imagine if he had champions. Champions would melt everything. Halberdier, Skirmisher. He can mix in his own skirms as well. By the way, he's got 1x range on those skirmishers, that helps a little bit, but other than that, the quality is absolutely the same. Eco-wise, now Admiral Yi has taken over as well. And, oh, look at this. Now the Light Cavs are running past. This is exactly the ingredient that was missing from game number 1. And, as I said, as much as I was bashing Admiral Yi for making some very, very sloppy and massive decision-making, I appreciate that he's learning from the mistakes of the past. He has seen how the Arabia game went. He was like, okay, that might not be sustainable. And now he's actually sending in a couple Light Cav. Not a lot, but every little detail matters, especially when you're distracting your opponent and you're able to take that monastery down, which is extremely important because that was the only gold income for Sunjata right now. Obviously, he can keep selling wood forever because this map has an insane amount of wood left on it. Probably like at least 100,000 wood more. And with that, onagers once again will be a little bit exposed to the Light Cav, but this is the beautiful thing about the Arbalasts with 11 range. They will just pick off the Light Cav even before they would reach the onagers. They don't need mobility for these Arbalasts because they can range anything. And I think even though there is still 50 army, for Sunjata, inch by inch, Admiral Yi is crawling forward, and now he's going to take the hill here as well. So he is no longer fighting up hills. One of the reasons why this is so hard to push here is because the opponent has the hill here. I see a monk trying to get a conversion from somewhere. Traps will be set up once again. On the right side, there's actually a couple of Hussar that are being spammed into the eco of Admiral Yi, but not something that's really devastating. And it seems like relics are being gathered once again by Sunjata. So he's trying to grab his relics back, but Trebs once again will actually start taking down buildings. And The thing is that losing buildings here hurts as well quite badly for Sunjata, because even though he's floating 4,000 wood, it takes time to rebuild them. And Sunjata taps out, calls the GG, wishing good luck to his opponent in the next round. And we end a series that was 4 hours long, yet only 5 games. Insanely long games, crazy games. And once again, mechanical skill-wise, Sunjata is the better player. That was obvious, I think. But Admiral Yi's preparation and game plan seem to prove dominant in this one. In every map that he has played, he came in with a good plan. The Japanese, that he was able to secure that for himself for High Tides. The Berbers pick to counterpick the Huns on Cross. The Britons pick here is also something I really like, the attempt to chop through. Really, he seemed a lot more well prepared than his opponent was, and that really showed at the end. Admiral Yi Sun-Shin, who I suspect is Jordan, could be in the finals. Admiral Yi is in the finals, that's for sure. It's a matter of if it's actually Jordan or not, but I think everything seems to line up with Jordan. He's probably prepared, but lacking a bit of a post-Imperial experience, and also a little bit sloppy sometimes with decision making. And at the end, it looks like Sunjata, who was Mr. Yo, or at least we suspect it was Mr. Yo, is out of tournament. I am more certain about Admiral Yi being Jordan than Sunjata being Mr. Yo, but regardless of that, Sunjata is out, and Admiral Yi Sun-Shin is going to be in the grand finals.